You propose we recreate this world here, this Earth 616? Quote, Doom, Reed Richards. The Ultimates return to greatness, spinning out of Jonathan Hickman and Stephen Caselli's Ultimate Universe #1, Rising Stars, Denise Camp, Children of the Vault, 20th Century Men, and Juan Figueroa, Invincible Iron Man, assembles an all-new team of Ultimates in a series that kicks off the next chapter of the new Ultimates line. 6 months ago, Tony Stark sent Peter Parker a radioactive spider to set him back on course to become Spider-Man. Since then, Iron Lad, Stark, Captain America, Thor, and Sif have begun to do the same for the other lost heroes, building a network of superpowered heroes hungry for change. Now they must band together to destroy the Maker's Council and restore freedom and free will to a world ruled from the shadows. Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 1. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Council, that rules the world from the shadows. By now, the Maker is gone, locked away in his own facility, the city, by inventor Howard Stark. Howard's teenage son Tony has taken on the codename Iron Lad and teamed up with this world's Doom, a broken Reed Richards, to set things right. First, they stole the frozen super soldier Captain America from the icy depths. Next, they broke the Asgardian god Thor out of prison and were followed by his warden Sif. But the Maker's Council did not want Iron Lad unmaking the world they had built. Council members Captain Britain confronted the team, badly wounding Thor, but losing an eye to the Iron Lad. The Council then launched an attack on New York City using Stark satellites, with Tony and his allies barely escaping with their lives, but now framed as terrorists. Tony Stark turns to watch the news report. It's been 6 months since the Maker's Council attacked New York under the misconception that Tony Stark was a terrorist, causing this terrorist attack. The young Tony Stark, known as Iron Lad, believes they can fix it. Doom, who is this universe's Reed Richards, says, I'm referring to us, Iron Lad. We are a mess. The Ultimates, this world's Avengers, use the Immortus Engine to launch themselves into the future to escape from the Maker's Council. The Immortus Engine was a time machine used by the Maker to reshape the history of Earth 6160 to his image. The exact origin of the device are unknown due to the brain damage sustained by the Maker in an attack from the future warrior Kang. The Maker stumbled into Kang when he used the Immortus Engine to travel to the furthest point accessible to him in the future to determine if the Empire endured. The future warrior attacked him in retaliation for his wrongdoings to history. The attack cost the Maker part of his memories, but he came to believe the device was going to be created in the future by a genius industrialist, Howard Stark. Richards managed to escape beforehand with the original broken Immortus Engine and took it to Howard's son, Tony, so that he could repair it. Tony subsequently installed the repaired Immortus Engine into the armor that he can use to adapt the identity of Iron Lad. Captain America Steve Rogers is still frozen, and Thor Odinson, this world's God of Thunder, is wounded. They have 18 months until the Maker is freed. 18 months to come up with a plan to stop him. Iron Lad says, I know it doesn't look good. To review, we've escaped 6 months into the future. Thousands died in an attack on Stark Tower meant for us. The predators of the attack, a conspiracy of the worst and most powerful people imaginable, have taken control of both the planet and the narrative. The world thinks we're violent terrorists. Also, our most powerful ally is gravely injured and another is trapped in ice. Doom says, as I said, a mess. But Iron Lad, with a smile on his face, replies, but we have a time machine. We can fix it. Iron Lad sits with Reed working on the calculations. They determine they can use the Immortus Engine to send things back in time to the 6 months they lost, establishing a world of heroes. This way, when the Maker appears, the heroes he stole will be there to face him. Tony writes, Ultimates 1.0 on the chalkboard in a circle. It'll be a kind of superhero resistance network, Tony explains to Doom, created from the post-human catalyst and files that we stole from the Maker connected connected by stark tech and a common cause. Small at first, but growing exponentially as we add new nods. Doom says, you propose we create otherworld superheroes here on Earth, like Earth 616. Tony replies, I propose we put right what the Maker put wrong to help this world become what it is supposed to be, a world of heroes. Doom says, this world is not the same. Realities diverge. The Maker has purged himself of mercy. The people in these files are likely dead. Iron Lad responds, then we'll find replacements. With the proportional data and computing power at our disposal, we could find near perfect substitutes. Where history fails, we'll let science choose. The idea is to bring superheroes using the information from their Earth, Earth 616, the regular Marvel universe, to mimic these superheroes. The problem is that some of these superheroes might have died 6 months ago or before, so Iron Lad will use a scenario to find replacements. Doom, this world's Reed Richards says, leave the calculation to me. We'll build your ultimate network 6 months in the past and have an army overnight. As images of heroes from Earth 616, like the Hulk, Fantastic Four, and the Avengers, flash across the screen, Doom reiterates, you must think in 4 dimensions. Tony sets out to free Captain America from the frozen block of ice. When Steve Rogers learns what has happened to the world, including the fall of America, he doesn't take it well. Though he initially distraught, the others are eventually able to calm him down. Thor is in danger of dying from a gaping wound in his chest sustained in their final battle. Tony visits the Asgardians where Sif is sitting by the side of her king and lover. How is he? Tony asks. She stares at the pools of blood that has collected around Thor. This should be nothing for him, but it was a magical weapon. The wound won't close, she whispers. Tony offers help, but Sif shakes her head. It is gods who grant gifts to mortals, not the other way around. So the work continues for Tony and Doom. For 6 days, they have been working tirelessly. On the 7th day, they have worked out the math and chosen their candidates. They use catalysts, wrapping them up in a stark tech, preparing to start their plan. But Steve watches from nearby, shaking his head. It won't work, he tells them. Tony looks at him in surprise. Captain America explains, you can't start a revolution from your living room. Heroes don't come out of a box. It won't work, Steve repeats, pointing to the catalyst they're going to send out. Tony motions to the blackboard, showing the calculations and a high-level math and engineering work. Steve, it's hard for us to understand sometimes, but this should work, Tony promises. Tony moves forward using the Immortus Engine to send the catalyst coursing back through time. Edges spark off the boxes as it silently disappear. Everybody pauses for a moment. That would be more dramatic, Steve calls from the back. Tony and Doom turn to the news. If their plan had worked, it would be immediate. There is nothing. No heroes traveling the skies. Doom shakes his head. It looks worse, measurably worse, he says to Tony. As they investigate, they realize that most people turn down the catalyst, preferring to live their ordinary lives. Some tried and failed, even died. Only a few actually succeeded. Tony watches the screen as Spider-Man swings through the city. Tony glances at Steve. All right, I'll admit it. I have not conquered time travel. Steve nods. Until you get better handle on that, maybe we should stick to time traveling the old-fashioned way, 1 second at a time. But Doom shakes his head. You're overreacting. One does not abandon an experiment simply after one failure. We have to troubleshoot and try again. Let's understand why Ultimates 1.0 did not work. The superheroes were given the power, but there was not a catalyst to drive them forward. For example, Spider-Man had the death of Uncle Ben and the careless death of Gwen Stacy in Earth 616. In this universe, Spider-Man had the death of Aunt May. But what about the other heroes in this universe? What was their catalyst to drive them to be superheroes and fight for good? Many would not even get involved, preferring the status quo unless there was a catalyst. In the case of the many deaths, even if they chose to be superheroes, they might have been killed because of the inexperience and not knowing how to use their powers. Many of these superheroes need time before they face a challenge such as the Council. Tony shakes his head. Steve's right. We killed people. Doom ruined lives. I don't care if he puts us at a disadvantage. The Immortus Engine is off limits, Tony tells him. Then he turns back to the board. Ultimates 2.0. Meanwhile, back in New Jersey, Hoboken, Hank and Janet, both pest control workers, are called to Flambe Restaurant. The owner has reported something big in the storage area, eating the food and leaving a mess. Hank reassures the man, don't worry, we'll take care of it. As they move through the shadows, shining their lights and looking around, Janet looks at Hank. Is everything okay? She asks, pointing out out that Hank has seemed distant for several months. Hank sighs and explains to her that he feels like she'd be better off without him, that she'd be doing something important. She smiles at him, shining her light on some crazy drawings on the wall as they walk. Hank, I love you. I love our life together, but I admit it, I like to do something more together, possibly start a family. There's more to life than squashing bugs, you know, she says, smiling at him. Remember, in the other universes, Hank Pym has never been very confident. Despite being a genius, he often feels that he is not as smart as Reed Richards, Dr. Doom, Tony Stark, etc. Hank Pym, even in other universes, has an inferiority complex. Also remember that the Maker would inflict irreversible brain damage upon Henry and then take Pym generator from him to store in one of his numerous respiratories as an artifact. They turn the corner and see a Moloids family. In Marvel Comics, Moloids are a subterranean race of humanoid creatures that inhabit the underground regions of the Earth. They are typically depicted as small yellow-skinned beings with large eyes, lacking individual personalities, and often acting as a collective. Moloids are known for their loyalty and servitude to the Mole Man, a supervillain who often clashes with the Fantastic Four. The Mole Man discovered the Moloids in the subterranean, a vast underground realm, and they became his primary minions. Key characteristics of Moloids includes appearance: small stature, yellowish skin, large eyes, and often hunched postures. Society: they live in a vast underground colonies and usually follow a hive-like social structure. Abilities: Moloids are adapted to living underground and able to dig through soil and rock with ease, and they have a high resistance to environmental extremes such as heat and pressure. Moloids play a recurring role in various storylines, particularly those involving the Fantastic Four, where they serve as a foot soldiers and workers for the Mole Man in his numerous schemes against the surface world. Back on the street, the owner asks if they have found the issue, but Janet whirls on him, angry, flashing in her eyes. No way, you got Moloids living down there. From what I can see, an entire extended family. The owner of the restaurant says, all right, I'll pay double, but you'll do the disposal. Hank and Janet both refuse, explaining they don't remove anything that has culture. Those are people. You have to draw the line somewhere. Janet says this is as they both head back to the van. They begin to drive through the city, with Hank beginning to question if they are right about the Moloids. Most people don't see them as anything more than animals, he points out. Killing them isn't even a crime. Suddenly, Hank hits the brakes as Iron Lad says, we need to talk, as he floats in front of Janet and Hank. Instead of wanting to talk to Iron Lad, Hank stops the car and goes in reverse. Janet has many questions. Was that Howard Stark? I thought he was dead. How did he know our names? Hank says, you know, I would never hurt you no matter what. Don't you, Janet? Janet wants to know, where is this coming from? You're Hank Pym. You wouldn't hurt it fly. Just as Janet is questioning what is going on, Thor's hammer goes right through the engine. Then Tony Stark's original holographic message begins to play, telling him that the Maker took their lives and asking if they want to be heroes. The new Ultimates stand in front of the van. Iron Lad says, I'm sorry about the van. We're still figuring everything out. Sif adds, they yet live. How much more gentle do you want? Tony hears his voice in the background from the recordings and thinks, it's so cold. Not a real catalyst that inspires people to be heroes. As you know, Tony had given them a sample of the Pym particles necessary for them to undergo post-human transformation. They should have been heroes, but a great evil robbed both of you of your destinies and left Henry with an irreversible brain damage. The interesting part is Janet calls her husband Hank and Iron Lad calls him Henry. As Pym cannot remember anything, he touches the scar on his head. Iron Lad says, forget that. We don't have much time. They'll be coming for us now. Then Janet says, hey, you're Tony Stark. You killed thousands of people. Tony replies, I hope you're not one of those people who believe everything you're told, Miss Van Dyne. Iron Lad says, look, I don't have to tell you the world is broken. I can see it in your faces, in the sad slump of your shoulders. Well, we're going to fix it, and we need your help. Captain America adds, it's been 6 months and you haven't accepted our offer. I don't blame you. You must have thought you'd be alone, which is why we've come in person. We wanted to tell you. Hank has kept this secret from Janet because he did not want to become a hero, nor did he want his wife to become one. He wanted to maintain status quo. Janet was unaware of the invitation to become a hero. Captain America continues, you won't be alone. We'll be here to help you. You'll be part of something greater, something heroic. Captain Britain stands with an army behind him and in French commands them to attack and capture the terrorists. Doom explains Captain America is one of the Maker's inner circle and he's brought his personal guard, the Black Crusade. Iron Lad steps forward and says, Captain Britain wants me. I'm the reason. He doesn't have his preferred vision. The battle begins where the old cry from another universe used to be, Avengers assemble. In this universe, Iron Lad screams out, Ultimates, attack! As the battle ensures, Iron Lad faces off against Captain Britain where Thor and Sif take on many of the Black Crusaders. Meanwhile, a conversation goes on between Janet and Hank. Hank says, Janet, I'm sorry. I didn't want to lose you. Janet replies, you don't have to explain, Hank. I understand. I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But I'm tired of being afraid, aren't you? There's more to life than squashing bugs, Hank. There has to be. I love you no matter what choice you make. But this is mine. As Janet activates the orb. In a flash, she is the Wasp. Janet, shrinking to Wasp size, leaps into the air, charging at the enemy. All right, let's see how this suit works, says Janet as she shoots with glee, cheering as she shrinks and dodges around blasts. Hank watches her, whispering, I don't deserve her. Even when getting hit, she thinks that was amazing. As Captain America slams his shield through the head of one of the giants, he has a conversation with Henry Pym. Henry says, she doesn't know who I am. She hasn't read the files. She's supposed to be a superhero. She's supposed to make a world a better place. I read all the files about who I was supposed to be. I read everything. Even in that reality, I'm a mess, a failure, a hero, a villain, good, bad, or mad. I can't seem to make up my mind. I'm a loser at best. Henry has read about what he has done in other universes. In each universe, he lacks self-confidence in a way. He has done bad things, but he has also done good things. The fight continues as Captain Britain smashes Iron Lad, cracking his helmet. The Wasp is learning her new powers using her blasters, while Doom is knocking warriors down with his blasters. The big question is, what will Henry Pym do? Will he open the orb? As Iron Lad mocks Captain America for taking his eye and blasts Captain Britain with his center blaster, Henry Pym says, the things it says I did. It says I hurt people. It says I hurt her. Janet, I never hurt her, but I did. It already happened, as he's talking to Captain America. Henry believes if he opens the orb, he will hurt people. He will hurt Janet, like he did in other universes. He also admits, sure, I'm afraid of dying or getting hurt, but I'm also afraid that if I become what you want me to be, what am I supposed to be? I'll hurt the people I love most. Captain America responds, I don't have an answer for you, Henry. Certainly no guarantees. I can only say that that man is not you. His failures are not your failures. His sins are not yours. Captain America says, in my experience, Henry, there are times that call us to be bigger than ourselves, for a greater good. As the battle intensifies, the hero is showing signs of weakness. Thor is wounded, but is still trying his best to fight the giants. Captain America continues, no one can make these choices for you, Henry, but if I can make an observation, you could have gotten rid of this thing anytime, buried it, thrown it in the river, given it away, smashed it to pieces, but you've been driven around it within arm's reach for 6 months. I'm no genius, but it seems to me that means something. Just then, Captain Britain axes Iron Lad, sending him crashing to the floor. Captain Britain calls out, stupid peasant, who are you to oppose us? I trace my lineage to Louis the 14th, the Sun King himself. I was born to rule this world, my empire. Even Uncle Louis could not have dreamt of this. All of Europe is my playground. Your East Coast, my new toy. Captain Britain then puts his boots to the throat of young Tony Stark with many guards surrounding Iron Lad. The Ultimates are in trouble. Just then, Tony Stark says, we're the Ultimates, and something Louis learned that you should know. There are more of us than there are of you. Using his repulsors, he blasts Captain Britain's foot away from his throat. We have boots too, and our boots are bigger, Tony adds. Suddenly, a dark shadow looms over Captain Britain and his troops. Henry Pym opens the orb and transforms into the Giant Man. He steps on Captain Britain and the Black Crusades, seemingly squishing them like bugs. Giant Man says to the Wasp, and you said there's more to life than squashing bugs. As we see a footprint with the Ultimates emblem all over their enemies, Tony Stark says, it's a good first step. Even if Britain survived, it's a statement, one that can't be ignored, a statement you can see from space. What is announcing? The news reports call it super terrorist attack, stating the Ultimates have put their foot down. Online conspiracy claim it's a footprint, proof of God. Tony Stark, the Iron Lad, thinks is a different statement. He says, the Ultimates are here, and we're going to leave a mark. 17 months remain before the Maker returns. Next, Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 2. We give them freedom from want. That's real freedom. Quote, Midas. Introduction of Midas. First appearance. Midas was a self-made entrepreneur with connections to the Clandestine Makers Council, a cabal composed of various world leaders of 7 super nations that constituted the world and exerted significant influence over society. In this issue, shocking secrets of the Ultimate Universe revealed. Captain America reckons with the Makers' dismantling of nations by visiting the White House, leading to a massive brawl between Midas and this young band of freedom fighters. But Midas has been holding a superhuman hostage as a power source, plus the dark history of what used to be the United States on Earth 616. Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 2. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Council, that rules the world from the shadows. But now the Maker is gone, locked away from the next 17 months by inventor Howard Stark. Howard's teenage son Tony has taken on the codename Iron Lad and teamed up with Captain America, Thor, Sif, and Doom to set things right. But the team quickly learned they can't just expect people to take up their fight against the darkness that rules the world. Heroes need to be inspired, and the Ultimates will need all the help they can get. The first recruits are Hank Pym and his wife, Janet Van Dyne, who aided them in the battle with Captain Britain, a member of the Makers Council. Washington, D.C., July 4th, the Ultimates have arrived on the front lawn of the White House, storming in with a mission to save America. The people are terrified, begging the heroes not to harm them. Captain America reassures them, you've got nothing to fear from us. We just want the man in the big house. Okay, Ultimates, let's go save America. Then we flash back to a little earlier before the Ultimate attacked the White House. Steve walks into a hologram and begins to view American history from the day the flag was planted to the day the mushroom cloud rose in the sky. As he watches further, he sees that the Maker had a huge part in all this. From the day Steve went away to the present day, the history of the former United States of America. As we pick up, the Ultimates have made their way inside the White House and into the Oval Office. This is where they encounter Midas. This new villain is decked out in Tony Stark's father's armor and doesn't seem worried about the Avengers or the Ultimates whatsoever. Very casually and relaxed, he says, "Welcome to the White House, brought to you by Midas." In 1963, Midas assumed control of the White House as a result of an agreement with an extra-dimensional Maker to assassinate United States President John F. Kennedy on November 22nd of the same year. Of the course of several decades, he maintained a close relationship with the Maker and his associates. Eventually, he discovered a young woman from the distant future who had been exposed to significant quantities of cosmic radiation. He exploited her for her financial gain, conducting research on her technology and body, as well as utilizing her energy storage situated beneath the White House. By 2024, following Howard Stark's betrayal of the Maker and ensuing availability of Stain Stark's corporate assets, Midas would seize the opportunity to appropriate the original Iron Man armor and repurpose it as a collector's item to wear. Midas would attempt to breach a negotiated agreement between himself and the superheroes, trying to persuade them of the merits of his vision of the world. Midas says, "Now let's get down to the brass tacks, gentlemen. My associates believe you and your violent ideology must be utterly destroyed, expunged from the earth. But I'm a businessman. I don't care about your ideology, violent or otherwise. So let's make a deal." Captain America responds, "No deals. We're here to save America." Midas starts laughing. "Of course you are. But what is America? Judging from the colors you wear, I suspect You take a narrow view. My vision is wider. America's always been more than just the United States. Listen to these forgotten names: Central America, Latin America, Canada, the Caribbean, each with its own countries, flags, governments, and people separated by distance, language, and culture, and yet connected. What makes America? Commerce, Captain. That is the real America. The transmutation of things into capital. Midas continues, now turning towards Iron Lad. The boy knows, don't you, boy? You know how much commission and capital matter. You understand that above politics and beyond sentiment, the fundamental exchange in its perfect medium is money. You fancy yourself an inventor, don't you? But money is man's greatest invention, and its accumulation man's noblest purpose. You must see that if you see anything at all, any order that has been obtained anywhere has been obtained in the pursuit of wealth. Captain America cuts in. You sure sound like the sound of your voice, don't you? Here's the deal. We know what you're doing in the basement, and we're putting it to stop to it. So surrender or... Before Captain America can finish, Midas turns and blasts him right in the face. The battle begins as Midas blasts Iron Lad. Captain America quickly gets up, shield first, blocking blow after blow from the gold-plated Iron Man suit. Midas taunts, "Don't speak to me of America." Captain America yells, "Do it, Iron Lad." Iron Lad uses his chest arc reactor to blast a hole into the ground, knowing there was something hidden beneath the White House that needed to reach, some kind of weapon. However, when they get down there, they find something different. Most of the Avengers are covered in rubble as Captain America gets up and says, "My God, the Ultimates knew there was something important hidden beneath the White House." Midas explains, "Beautiful, isn't she? My love, my good time gal, my bright and shining star. That's cosmic radiation all around her. She produces it naturally. I have bathed in her light for 1 hour per day, every day since we found her. She has changed me, as all great loves do. We believe she fell from the future, the victim of some sort of violent explosion, or perhaps escape gone wrong. We don't know much. She's never spoken to us, not one word, not even her name. Nevertheless, I'm an entrepreneur. I always find a way to turn a profit." With Iron Lad powered down and unable to do much, Midas targets Captain America, taunting him. "You came to save this place, but you don't even know its true history, the people who discovered it, Cortez, Columbus, pirates, and warlords alike. And I don't see this as criticism. I see it as inspiration." As Captain America takes a brutal beating, Midas continues, "Your eyes are so swollen you can't see where we are. Slaves built this place, men and women brought and sold on the White House lawn. The United States was a fine idea for its time, but it served its purpose. We cut out what was difficult and kept only what was profitable. We gave them freedom. From what? That's real freedom. The United States of America is dead. Long live North American Union and its regional subsidiaries." Captain America, beaten down, gasps, "Free America." Midas then drops him to the floor, but just then the Wasp, having snuck in unnoticed, shatters the machine that Midas was using, breaking it apart in a flash of victory. As the machine shatters, the individual trapped inside is finally able to break free. Whoever this girl is, she is now liberated, and Midas shouts, "No!" Iron Lad, powerless and struggling against Midas, finds himself nearly helpless, while Wasp proves to be little more than an annoyance. As Iron Lad declares, "You cannot have her. Do you understand? She is mine. I love her." Captain America, sneaking up from behind, strikes the weak point in Midas's armor with his shield, cracking his neck. Captain America says, "Love her? You don't even know her name." Midas says, "You broke my neck, Captain. Listen to me. Take her, and there will be dire consequences. Already the electrical grid is failing, leaving hundreds of thousands of people without power, hospitals, airports, and traffic systems. You see? Take her, and you kill thousands. What is America but its people? Yes, now you see. Whatever you do, however things unfold, I profit. I am Midas. Everything I touch turns to gold." Throughout this story, flashbacks of the past are interwoven, depicting 9 days of Captain America receiving 75 years worth of information about what has transpired in this world. Battles like Omega Red versus Iron Man, the Roxanne Corporation schemes, dinosaurs, gamma rays, and the Punisher's relentless efforts to stop the chaos all flash before Captain America's eyes. The Ultimates return to the machine that was powered everything. Captain America America beaten down, asked the girl. It's okay, miss. We're here to help. A great injustice was done to you, but things will be better now. Can you remember your name? Iron Lad, Captain America, Wasp, and Ant-Man leave the burning White House. She says her name is America. We know her as America Chavez. She has been liberated from the prison and taken in by the resistance. America Chavez is a post-human from the distant future of Earth 6160, endowed with superhuman abilities as a result of cosmic radiation exposure. 16 months remain until the Maker return. Next, Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 3. We've suffered enough for other people's wars. Quote She-Hulk. Introducing the She-Hulk, the ultimate search for a means of destroying the Maker's most powerful pawn, the Hulk, and in the process they uncover an army of Hulks hidden away from the world, with She-Hulk at the helm. Ultimates Volume 4, Issue 3. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Councils, the rules, the world from the shadows. But now the Maker is gone, locked away for the next 16 months by inventor Howard Stark. Howard's teenage son Tony has taken on the codename Iron Lad and teamed up with Captain America, Thor, Sif, and Doom to set things right. Now they're on a quest to bring on as many heroes to this cause as possible and hunt down the keys to defeating the Maker's Council. Thus far, they recruited the married duo Giant Man and the Wasp and rescued a powerful young woman named America Chavez from the council's underbelly. At the birth of the Hulk, which occurred at the Pacific Proving Grounds, the detonation was seen from far and wide. The nearby islands felt the most devastating effects of all. With the gamma bomb explosion, gamma radiation poured across the island, into the jungle, into the wildlife, and onto the huts, and onto all the human beings present. We are then presented with a confidential report which states the following. After the detonation of Banner's gamma bomb, the nearby inhabited island was bathed in 800 million tons of radioactive fallout. 459 men and women were exposed, and the whole island became contaminated, making it the most gamma concentrated area on Earth. Though the residents experienced a smaller and less direct dose than Banner did, the longer-term exposure has already resulted in dramatic changes to both the flora and the fauna. Things are growing far beyond their natural capacity, far exceeding anything we could consider within a normal size range, some up to 300% larger and more aggressive. Many have started to refer to this place as Monster Island. However, when it comes to the effects on the island human population, they have been unpredictable and rather peculiar. Some subjects show immediate signs of gamma sickness. Within 14 days, half of all human subjects were dead, with gamma poisoning found to be the cause in all cases. Strange mutations have also started to appear, such as suction cups covering approximately 20% of the body of one adolescent female. After just 3 weeks of observation, they felt confident that the project would be of the greatest scientific value, both to the world and to Director Banner. There is no better place to study the effects of gamma radiation on life in general and on human life specifically. Taking us to the present day, the two giant reptiles are locked in a fierce battle when Thor, Iron Man, and Sif teleport onto the scene. Tony immediately notes that the gamma readings here are off the charts. However, before they can fully process the situation, a giant reptile swiftly attacks them. In mere moments, they manage to put the beast down, though Tony is a bit taken aback that they killed it. He remarks that they didn't have to, but for Sif and Thor, killing a creature like this is more a sport than anything else. Thor, having vanquished dragons in the past, considers this nothing. As they venture deeper into the jungle, Tony marvels at how bizarre this place is. Decades of gamma exposure have produced flora and fauna unlike anything ever seen before. He lifts up a crab the size of his torso only for Sif to slice it in half. While Tony is amazed by the strange light forms, Thor reminds him that the very nature of this island is war. Everything here is constantly at war with itself and would easily destroy them given the opportunity. Tony reflects on the history of the island, noting that they were wiped off the map with mere radioactive reefs and sudden battleships, making it nearly impossible for anyone to reach them by normal means. He believes that this is where the Hulk was born. the epicenter of gamma radiation that transformed Bruce Banner into the Hulk. When we read a final report, no one is left alive except the person writing this. Most men died fighting, defending the research camp, while the rest were forced to flee into the forest. They are currently hiding from giant carnivorous crabs and a colony of ants with collective intelligence far in excess of any man. These ants stripped humans to the bone. They came here to learn the effects of the gamma radiation on biological life, and the findings suggest that even an entire Union army wouldn't be enough to pacify this place. Insects as large as B-2 bombers, just as deadly, lizards as tall as skyscrapers with gamma energy breath. These creatures dominate the island, and there are things here that eat those lizards for lunch. This is not an island. It is a mouth, one that could swallow the world. There is nothing left here but death. It occurs to a writer they were all part of this experiment from the beginning, that everything that has happened here was part of Director Banner's plan. They are all subjects now. This is where we belong from the beginning, the island of monsters. This is when our heroes are ambushed. A giant Hulk-like creature resembling an abomination emerges from the woods and attacks them. Thor, seeing this as a worthy opponent, isn't sure if this is what they were looking for. They don't have much time to think when Thor throws Mjolnir, but the creature grabs it, using its momentum against Thor and hurling it back at him. Sif rushes in, attempting to deal any kind of damage, but she's unable to make a dent. Iron Lad unleashes everything he has, but it's not enough either. To buy time, Thor decides to drop the hammer. It seems like another creature on the island is about to go extinct as Thor uppercuts the beast and then jumps up, bringing Mjolnir down just seconds before smashing it. But before the final blow can land, another Hulk appears, a female Hulk. This female Hulk says, "I am Lajori Jonah Zachariah, protector of this atoll and everything on it. You are intruders. Now stop or face the consequences." Iron Lad responds, "Wait, we just want to talk. We mean no harm." She-Hulk replies, "I've heard this before. Hush now," as she takes the abomination in her hand and sings a song, transforming it back into an infant. The ultimate Avengers are shocked. Lajori says, "They said they selected us for our good weather and large lagoon on our many islands for support facilities. I was a girl when they came, little men in white coats surrounded by big men in green with guns. They offered us money and promises of houses, medicine, and the protection of world governments. They swore that once all their bombs had been dropped, all their experiments done, and all the wars won, they would clean up after themselves and everything would be as it was. Trust us," they said. Banner, the so-called doctor. We did not believe them and refused. They dropped their bombs anyway and left us to live in the fallout. Iron Lad says, "So there are others like you." "I knew it. Don't you see? This could change the balance of world power. An incredible Hulk army." She-Hulk responds, "Oh yes, there are more of us. Come and see. This is your Hulk army," Lajora says, showing Iron Lad the tragic remains of those affected, individuals with severe deformities, some in constant pain, and others like the innocent baby Abraham in her hands, who in a fit of rage transformed and tragically tore his own mother apart. All of this was forced upon them. There is no army to be had here. They are merely survivors of those horrific gamma bomb experiments. She-Hulk continues, "We are the lucky ones, the ones who survive, but all of us are sick and changed forever. Even the sand is sick here. We are afraid to have children, fearing what they will become. In the summer, a family needs 100 coconuts a day for drinking water, but the coconuts are contaminated. The water burns your throat. So tell me, what are we supposed to drink?" Iron Lad says, "God, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be insensitive, but you show a level of self-control that Banner only achieved with years of guidance from the greatest psychologists, spiritualists, and mystics in the world. You're smart and strong like he is." She-Hulk responds, "Yes, most of the radiation kills or weakens, but a few it makes strong. There's no sense or reason to it, no justice." Iron Lad says, "That's what we're fighting for." She-Hulk replies, "I know who you are, the ultimates, the terrorists. We have a TV. How do you think we learned English?" Iron Lad says, "We need you in this war." The She-Hulk responds, "We've suffered enough for other people's war." Thor adds, "This war is everyone's war." And Sif chimes in, "You're more than most." ghost. Iron Lad says, what if we helped you? Maybe we could move you somewhere. She-Hulk replies, we will not leave ever. This is our Lamoran, our ancestral land. We would rather die here than live somewhere else. It's one of those awful contradictions of this place. The land that kills us and the land we would die to defend. And anyway, Banner would never allow it. Iron Lad says, how can you just do nothing after what he's done? Doesn't it make you angry? She-Hulk responds, angry? Have you ever seen someone die of gamma poisoning, Iron Lad? It is slow, painful death, full of confusion, rage, and change. We've seen it hundreds of times. I've watched foul mouths with crooked yellow teeth grow on my mother's body, and so my father sprout feathers and attempt to escape into the sky every day. We're brand new people, and though we've never left their sides, not even for a moment, not even once, still they die completely alone, unimaginable even to themselves. Angry? We were born into this wounded belly of the world. You can't imagine my anger. What has been done to us is an abomination, and I won't allow you to use our anger. We have been used enough. She-Hulk says, you want my strength? You want my rage? Then you'll have to pay for it. Fix our island. Make it like it was before the bombs. If you do this for us, then I'll show you strength. This is my price. Fix my island. Sif joins in. You said from the beginning, Iron Lad, you wanted to fix the world, didn't you? As the Iron Lad and She-Hulk shake hands, the deal is set. Then, with the Hulk monitoring from the cameras, he says, no, it just won't do. Trespassing on sacred land, interfering with long-running experiments, forging destabilization alliances. These Ultimates are starting to make me angry. The Hulk will go to battle against the Ultimates while we have 15 months remaining until the Maker return. Next, Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 4. The knowledge of reality's incompleteness. It's an awful burden. Goddell starved himself to death. He saw the world in a new way and couldn't stand it. It changes you, makes you into something you never imagined you could be. Quote, Doom, the fate of the ultimate Fantastic Four. Doom's years of torture at the hands of the Maker finally catch up to him in this secret history of the real Reed Richards. And tensions rise among the Ultimates when Doom might be more fixated on recreating the life he should have had than the life he's got. Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 4. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Councils, that rules the world from the shadows. But now the Maker is gone, locked away for the next 16 months by inventor Howard Stark. Howard's teenage son Tony has taken on the codename Iron Lad and begun recruiting a network of heroes to fight back against the Maker's Council and prepare for the Maker's return. Instrumental in sealing away the Maker and forming this new team with Iron Lad is Doom, the broken shell of a man once known as Reed Richards, who was kept inside the dome and uncovered the Maker's secret, though not that the Maker is himself the Reed Richards of another universe. The first person recruited by Iron Lad to form the new Avengers, the new Ultimates, was Reed Richards, now known as Doom. Once a brilliant mind and a hero in the making, Reed is now a broken shell of his former self, kept captive by the Maker. While Doom managed to uncover some of the Maker's secrets, he never realized the Maker is actually Reed Richards from another universe. This is a tragic tale of how the world never got the Fantastic Four, but instead witnessed the rise of Reed Richards as Doom. In this video, we explore 4 different panels, each showing a distinct moment in time. The first panel depicts Reed Richards excelling in school, far surpassing his peers. The next showed Sue, Johnny, Ben, and Reed all suited up for the mission that could have made them the Fantastic Four. We then skip ahead to see Doom, Reed Richards observing the Fantastic Four, followed by present-day Doom conducting experiments as Iron Lad arrives. Our approach is to unify these moments into a single cohesive story rather than jumping between narratives. Panel 1 story, Reed Richards excelling. At the university, a professor asks, what is the 4th dimension? Can anyone tell me? The only person raising his hand is Reed Richards, who is clearly younger than all the other students and obviously the smartest person in the room. Next, we see the first meeting of Reed Richards and Ben Grimm, who are roommates. Reed, just 13 years old, tells Ben, "I'm mature for my age." We then witness the first meeting between Reed Richards and Susan Storm. They shake hands and it's clear there's an immediate connection between them. Finally, we see Reed Richards brimming with ideas, saying, "The world is ready for big transformative ideas again. Isn't that why you put this project together in the first place? Isn't that why we're all here?" Reed Richards continues, "With the readings we take from the center of the cosmic storm, we'll be able to see the universe in entirely a new way. We'll be able to see ourselves in entirely new way." Sue Storm looks at him with amazement. Next, there is a meeting between Johnny Storm and Reed Richards. Johnny says, "So this is the guy my sister won't shut up about. You're Reed, right? The director of the project." Sue Storm's dad steps in and says, "No, you have been spending money at an absurd rate. As a director of the project, it's my job to bring you both back to Earth." A security personnel checks Reed Richards and says, "This is a scheduled review of your security clearance. Dr. Richards, it's only a formality. Have you done anything in the last 6 months that would jeopardize the secrecy or success of this project?" Then we see Ben Grimm saying, "I never thank you for getting me on this project, Reed. I always want to do something important. My grandpa flew planes in the big one against the Nazis, and my pop flew against the Eurasians. And now, thanks to you, I get to fly too." The next scene shows Reed Richards and Sue Storm falling in love. The panel depicts Reed Richards doing the calculations over and over again to ensure there are no mistakes. Sue Storm's dad then says, "They're shutting down the project. You're wildly over budget and failing safety inspections. The board of directors doesn't see the practical applications." Reed Richards gets mad, saying, "They can't do this," but the maker starts to get involved, weaving the deceptions so that the first family, the Fantastic Four, will never be. At a bar, Reed Richards says, "This was years of my life, years of our lives. I won't let them do this to us, not when we're so close. Are you with me?" He asks Sue Storm and Ben Grimm. The crew was supposed to be 9, but they'll need at least 4 to run the ship's basic operations. Reed Richards then asks, "What about your brother Johnny?" Johnny replies, "Yes." And then there were 4. As Ben Grimm picks a lock, he says, "I used to run with a gang when I was a kid back on Yancey Street. What can I say? I was very mature for my age." Reed Richards asks, "Still with me, Sue?" The 4 suit up as Reed Richards says, "There's nothing to worry about, darling. Once we come through the storm, we'll be heroes. I'm sure of it. There's no going back now. The 4 of us are about to make history as a rocket is ready to launch." Panel 2, story, the mission. Sue asks, "Is it time, Reed?" "Yes, sure, it's time." Reed replies, as in the other versions, there was a miscalculation by Reed Richards. Reed says, "I wish I had time to check my calculations once more, but if we want to get the readings from inside the cosmic storm, it's now or never." As Ben takes the rocket up, the rocket blasts off and Reed Richards says, "We're almost there. We should be reaching the storm any minute." But then Reed realizes he made a mistake in his calculation. Just as Johnny bursts into flames, they all come crashing down in the capsule. We then cut to Sue Storm's dad, and a general says, "You 3 just destroyed a $10 billion project and broke 100 laws of the North American Union, not to mention getting a minor killed. We're still working on exactly how to classify the top secret nature of the facility, but you are all going to jail for the rest of your lives." Sue Storm's dad, not caring about himself, says, "That's my daughter." The Fantastic Four, the first family in Earth 616, but 3 out of the 4 members met their death. Johnny Storm was burned alive, engulfed in flames due to a miscalculation. Then we turn to Ben Grimm. Reports confirm that a body found at the bottom of an abandoned quarry was that of disgraced test pilot Benjamin J. Grimm. Investigators are ruling that the death a suicide, but was it truly a suicide, or did the maker have a hand in it? We see Ben Grimm surrounded by rock, having jumped from a mountain. Next, we go to Sue Storm. Sue wanted to say goodbye to Reed Richards, who's in handcuffs, but Reed can't understand why. Sue father explains, "The stray cosmic radiation from your joyride, it tore our cells apart. There's nothing we can do but watch her fade away. You killed my children, Richards. I curse the day I saw your face." With no Fantastic Four, many heroes were left without the inspiration of the first family. Spider-Man in his teenage years had many encounters with the Fantastic Four, offering wondering if he could be a superhero like them, the Maker has taken the first family out of the picture. In his prison, Reed Richards is introduced to the Maker. The Maker does not call him Reed Richards, but instead calls him Doom, saying, "Welcome to your brand new universe." Reed Richards does not understand what's going on. He wants to know where he is, how long he's been there. Has it been months or just minutes or maybe centuries? The Maker's time moves differently, and Reed Richards has quickly aged. The Maker taunts him, saying, "Doom, doom, doom. I control the fourth dimension. I can squeeze centuries of pain into just a few thin moments. I can make a single conversation last a lifetime." Reed Richards is strapped to a machine as he pleads, "Please, there's been some kind of mistake. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not this Doom." Reed Richards is being tortured, crying out, "There's been some mistake. My name is Reed Richards." In pain, he screams as the Maker coldly replies, "I am the Maker. I do not make mistakes." The Maker continues, "You make mistakes, don't you, Doom? Mistakes that kill friends, ruin lives, mistakes that blow up in your face. That's you, Doom." Reed Richards pleads desperately, "Please, please, I'm Reed. Please, why are you doing this?" As the Maker continues his torment, the Maker has disfigured and tortured Reed Richards. The Maker declares, "Doom is your name. I am as sure of it as of my own. Everything you touch, everything you are, everything you love, all Doom except this. And be free. Doom is what you bring. Doom is who you are. Now say it. Who are you?" As Reed Richards pleads, the Maker tortures him further, cutting into his head and letting gamma-infected rats eat away at him. The Maker demands, "Who are you?" Reed Richards has been modified by the Maker, the iconic Doom mask over at the form face as the Maker asks, "Who are you?" Reed Richards, seemingly transformed, says, "I am Doom." The Maker is pleased. No Fantastic Four, just Doom. Panel 3 story. Doom, Reed Richards, observing the Fantastic Four. All the events from the previous 2 panels are being watched by Doom and Iron Lad. The Fantastic Four in this universe will never exist as Doom reflects on the past events, his torture, manipulation, and transformation into evil. Doom says to the Iron Lad, "You have to think in the fourth dimension if you want to change the world, Iron Lad. We have a time machine. We can fix it." Iron Lad responds, "We'll have to save the world some other way. No more time travel. The Immortus Engine is off limits." Got it, Doom? The Immortus Engine is a time machine used by the Maker to reshape the history of Earth 6160 in his own image. The exact origins of this device remains unknown due to the brain damage the Maker sustained from an attack by the future warrior Kang. Doom touches an orb which sizzles as it displays the events of the previous panels. He watches as the rocket ship is launched and realizes the miscalculation he made. He then sees the death of Johnny Storm. Doom notes that mixing events before disabling the Maker's temporal shields is out of reach for now. There are high walls around the past. It is not easy to go back in time and change what the Maker has done, seemingly killing 3 out of the 4 members of the Fantastic Four. Doom puts his hands on the screen as he watches the capsule landing. Doom further reflects the Maker's work is not so easily undone as he picks up a gun and tries to destroy the screen, showing the death of Ben Grimm, likely caused by the Maker. He then sees the death of Sue Storm. These are traumatic events that this world's Reed Richards has endured, and despite everything, he still wants to be a hero and stop the Maker. Iron Lad says the past is off limits. Doom replies, "For now," as he takes a hammer and tries to destroy the image of Reed Richards being tortured and turned into Doom. He swings, but the hammer breaks, not the screen. In frustration, Doom slams his hands in torment, remembering the pain he endured, how his face was mangled and disfigured. He smashes his hands so hard they bleed. Dropping to his knees, Doom pleads for the images to stop. He apologizes for all the mistakes he has made and says he is trying, and I will never stop. What fortitude by Reed Richards. After all this, he won't stop going after the Maker. Panel 4, story. Present day Doom conducting experiments. Iron Lad arrives calling out, "Doom, Doom, are you in there?" Doom is engrossed in the experiments. Without looking up, Doom responds, "Yes, I am here." Iron Lad, slightly frustrated, says, "You missed another mission. We really needed you. If it wasn't for America, Giant Man would be dead." Iron Lad asks, "What happened to your hands?" Doom replies, I injured them in an experiment. Iron Lad then asks, what have you been doing, Doom? Doom responds, I suffer from periods of extreme despair. During these times, it feels as though I'm lost in all-consuming universe where there is nothing is possible. I call it my negative zone. Iron Lad says, I didn't know that. I'm sorry, Doom, but that's no excuse. Doom nods and says, I understand. I will try to communicate better in the future. Iron Lad suggests, if you want someone to talk to, my dad made me this thing as a kid. Doom cuts him off, saying, work on Project 4 continues, as we discussed. Iron Lad replies, still, I thought you would have moved on by now. Doom, burdened by his past and the pain caused by the Maker, says, I bend cosmic forces to my will, Iron Lad. Extreme precautions are required to avoid unnecessary loss of life. Careful means slow. That is what you wanted, is it not? Doom continues, I've been working and progress has been made, as you can see. Doom says, I'm having trouble finding the correct composition and dose of cosmic radiation. The mutations are highly unstable. Doom is using radiation on mice to try to recreate the powers of the Fantastic Four, but he's having problems. Doom continues, saying to the Iron Lad, the mice keep dying. Iron Lad offers, well, I could help, Doom. Doom responds, I've been studying cosmic energy all my life. You do not have the expertise, and this is something I must do on my own. Doom wants to complete the story of bringing a version of the Fantastic Four to Earth 6160. Iron Lad insists, don't be stubborn, Dune. We can't let your ego jeopardize. Dune interrupts. The billionaire boy king pampered since the womb accusing me of ego? Me. It is you who jeopardized the cause with your arbitrary, irrational decision to abandon the Immortus Engine and all of time. Iron Lad retorts, not this again. We killed people, destroyed lives. Doom counters, and how many have they killed? How many lives have the Maker destroyed? Iron Lad says, don't lecture me. I've lost. Doom cuts him off. You have lost nothing. You don't know the meaning of the words. Perhaps one day you will, but Anthony, I really hope not. Doom then goes on, I have always felt incomplete, that something was missing. Even as a boy, when I read the Maker's files, I at last saw the shape of this absence, the knowledge of reality's incompleteness in an awful burden. Godel starved himself to death. He saw the world in a new way and couldn't stand it. It changes you. It makes you into something you never imagined you could be. Yes, I would tear this world down stone by stone to make it right again, but it slips through my fingers, so I'm trying things your way for now. Iron Lad tries to apologize, but Doom interrupts. Never mind, when the mice stop dying, the Fantastic Four will return. Iron Lad leaves the room, and Doom says, that would be best, and Iron Lad, please close the door behind you. I have work to do. Doom continues, trying to recreate the Fantastic Four, but the mice keep on dying. There are 14 months remaining until the Makers return to Earth 6160. Next, Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 5. Visions aren't about the messenger or even the message. They're about the receiver. Quote, Hawkeye. Ultimate Hawkeye targets Captain America. Hawkeye no more. Not for long. A new challenger approaches when an unknown civilian picks up a discarded bow and arrow and refuses to let the Ultimates reclaim the stolen Stark tech. Captain America tries to settle the dispute, leading to an action-packed brawl of arrows versus shields. Meanwhile, the Ultimate Hellfire Club is up to something. Ultimates Volume 4, Issue 5. At the secret Stark satellite, the Triskelionian, Tony Stark says, Steve, we got a problem. Captain America responds, I'm listening. Iron Lad mentions a Roxanne pipeline was catastrophically compromised in 4 places, then another incident, another Roxanne plant destroyed, and only 1 month ago a Roxanne refinery melted to slag. The workers describe seeing arrows flying through the air just before the explosions. Captain America replies, all that with arrows? I'm impressed. Iron Lad says, not arrows, a cutting-edge, self-printing, smart projectile weapon system of my own design. Captain America replies, arrows. Iron Lad continues, I took a shot, but the man who was supposed to be the hero, Hawkeye, rejected our offer. We see Clint Barton leave the outfit, the arrows, and the technology behind in a trash can, which some random passerby picks up. Captain America says, Tony, I'm not seeing the problem. This is what we wanted. Citizens taking up arms against the council, its allies,
its infrastructure. Iron Lad responds, between running operations, Gamma Island reclamation, and repairing the Human Torch, I've been swamped, but I finally had a chance to run this person's numbers. It doesn't look good, Steve. Their heroism score was the bottom 10th percentile, and on the villain potential index. Captain America interrupts. Some things aren't captured in numbers, Tony. I thought you learned that after what happened last time. Iron Lad says, that's exactly why we have to get these weapons back. I can't be responsible for any more unnecessary death. I can, Steve. Captain America questions the potential of these arrows, but Tony Stark explains to Steve Rogers, but these arrows can follow a target for 40 miles, cut through angles at 3 times the speed of sound, blow holes in battleships, and fry every electronic device within 200 yards. A properly trained man can take out an army with those arrows, Tony says. Iron Lad adds, please, Steve, America's on a mission in Eurasia with Giant Man and Wasp, following a lead on another trapped hero. Thor and Sif, well, I don't know where they are. She-Hulk will only leave her island for direct strikes against the Council or rescue missions. And Doom? Doom is Doom. I need your help. I took a shot, Steve. I took a shot and I missed. Steve Rogers replies, I'll take care of it. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Councils, that rules the worlds from the shadows. But now the Maker is gone, locked away for the next 14 months by inventor Howard Stark. Howard's teenage son Tony has taken on the codename Iron Lad and begun recruiting a network of heroes to fight back against the Maker's Council and prepare for the Maker's return. Though some of Iron Lad's recruitment attempts failed, as would-be heroes rejected the secret identities and double lives that he offered, the Ultimates resistance force grows. The new Hawkeye, Charlie Ramsey, was a member of the Oglala band of the Lakota Nation, a Native American tribe. Raised by a father who spent his time watching classic Western movies, Charlie grew up resentful of the world around them, particularly the treatment of their people by Roxanne Energy Partners. In January 2024, Charlie discovered discarded equipment meant for Clint Barton, a would-be superhero archer who ultimately declined the offer. Ramsey retrieved the bow and arrows, listened to a recorded message from Tony Stark, and saw it as a vision of their destiny. They adopted the name Hawkeye and took up the mantle. At the Roxanne refinery, 15 miles from the Missouri River, Captain America finds a new Hawkeye. The new Hawkeye aims a repulsor arrow at Captain America and says, so they sent a cowboy, huh? Captain America wants to talk to the new Hawkeye. He says, Charlie Ramsey, you know why I'm here. The new Hawkeye responds, you're one of the Ultimates, so I don't know. Here to blow up a school or something? Captain America replies, no, I don't think you know us. We don't do that. Besides, blowing up things up seems to me your thing, as a gesture towards the refinery. The new Hawkeye goes on the offensive, firing the repulsor arrow and says, draw, cowboy. Captain America maneuvers out of the way and responds, I'm a captain, actually. Hawkeye says, nah, you're a cowboy. Gary Cooper looking, and I'm the Indian. You know what that makes us? Enemies. Captain America replies, sure, I get the reference, as the repulsor arrow loops around and hits Captain America's shield, knocking him to the floor. Captain America gets up and Hawkeye says, I know all about cowboys. My dad used to love these old movies. I've seen them all, and they were all the same. Cowboys killing Indians. Cowboys killing Indians. As Hawkeye fires a sonic screamer arrow, the piercing sound makes Captain America's ears bleed. Hawkeye continues, everybody cheers, but I love them too. It's messed up, but I love them too. Despite being Native American, the new Hawkeye has a complicated admiration for cowboys. Captain America gets up again and says, stop, I didn't come here to fight you. I just need these weapons back. They're dangerous, and you can't be older than 16. Hawkeye replies, how old were you when you put on the suit and took a stand? With an arrow aimed at Captain America's head, he continues. Captain America responds, what do you know about this suit or what it stands for? Hawkeye says, I guess for you and me. Different things. Hawkeye says, so what? You get to be a hero. Tony Stark gets to be a hero. The guy who threw all this stuff away, he gets to be the hero. But me, I don't meet a criteria. I fail a test or something. As Captain America thinks, he realized that Hawkeye makes a lot of sense with the arrow pointed right at the A on his head. Hawkeye continues, we always fail their tests. Their math never works out in our favor. Hawkeye takes out a cluster bomb arrow and says, you know what they do? do? These Roxxon Energy partners, they do whatever they want. He fires a cluster bombs and explosives occur everywhere. Captain America jumps high into the air to get away from the blast. Hawkeye says, they flood the plains, they dig up our sacred ground, they foul the water, they build these refineries and pipelines like the great black snake our stories say will end everything. They take the whole world hostage, and then we protest. When we stand up, they kill us or throw us in jail or force us from our land. As Hawkeye takes out a knockout gas arrow, a freeze arrow, an acid arrow, Captain America managed to evade, jump away, and use the shield to get out safely from all those arrows. Hawkeye says, and so yeah, we have to fight. We have to. Roxanne and the North America Union, the United States of America, it's all the same. Cowboys and Indians, trust me, these weapons, this life, it's a burden. You don't have to take it on. I do. I have a vision. It was meant for me. As Hawkeye takes out an inertia-canceling arrow, Captain America throws a shield, which falls to the ground. Hawkeye continues, I saw the boy in the light. I heard what he said. Protect the innocent, save lives, and inspire the citizens of the world to be their best selves. I had the vision. This Hawkeye saw the vision of Clint Barton turning it down, and Tony Stark giving a holographic message to Clint Barton. And this Hawkeye wanted to protect the innocent, save the lives, and inspire the citizens. Captain America says that was just Tony, and he was talking to someone else, a potential hero named Hawkeye. Hawkeye responds, I know. Hawkeye then says, I'm the member of the Ogala band of the Lakota Nation. My government name is Charlie Ramsey, but my spirit name, my true name is Charlie Hawkeyes. Charlie then takes out an industrial taser arrow, and with Captain America's shield on the ground, he avoids the arrow. Hawkeye continues, you see, it was meant for me. You can't take it. I won't let you. The arrow boomerangs back right into Captain America's back, sending a shock through his system. Hawkeye shoots a razor arrow, which cuts through a pipe and says, the ones who made this world didn't make it for people like me. So sometimes you see something, an old movie, a vision, or a symbol, and even though it wasn't made for you, you made it yours anyway. Then Hawkeye sends a Nero distributor arrow, which Captain America breaks in half. Hawkeye continues, because if you don't, how else are you going to be anything in this world they made? I'm not stupid. I've seen Star Wars. I know it wasn't a script or something, just some arrogant kid, but it was my vision because I decided it was. Hawkeye then arms the hunter killer arrow and aims it at Captain America. Captain America grabs the arrow out of thin air and breaks it. Hawkeye says visions aren't about the messenger or even the message. They're about the receiver. Captain America responds, enough, but Hawkeye continues, I don't care if I had to dig my destiny out of a dumpster. It's still mine. The shield then connects with Hawkeye, dropping him to the ground for the first time. Hawkeye says, just like the movies. Cowboy wins, Indian dies, everybody cheers. Captain America offers his hand and says, no one's dying, and that's not cheering. Get up and use those eyes. Captain America respects the new Hawkeye and understands his point, but ultimately Captain America wins the battle. Hawkeye starts scanning the perimeter and notices some really big bad guys approaching. Captain America says, I try to tell you what you're doing is dangerous. That's the Roxanne cleanup crew coming to erase us like a couple of carpet stains. Mercenaries. Basically, Roxanne hires them to secure mining operations and locations with high levels of local instability. I heard they were instrumental in putting down the savage land revolt of the 70s. I've been reading up on history. As the Roxanne cleanup crew moves in, Hawkeye says there's 1,000 of them. Captain America responds, someone once told me that with proper training, an operator could stop a small army with those weapons you're holding, so I hope you've been practicing. Captain America and Hawkeye go to battle against 1,000 Roxanne mercenaries. The Roxanne mercenaries have heavy artillery, tanks, and helicarriers, dropping soldiers to defeat Captain America and the new Hawkeye. Despite the overwhelming odds, they fight relentlessly, taking down the countless mercenaries. Captain America says, not bad. Hawkeye, not bad at all, as all 1,000 Roxanne cleanup crew mercenaries lie defeated. Captain America America says we should get out there. More will be coming. Hawkeye replies, what about our fight? Don't you want your arrows back? Captain America says, no, I was never going to take them back. I just wanted to be sure before I told Iron Lad. Hawkeye asks, what are you going to tell him? Captain America says that he didn't miss. Captain America adds, hey, is your spirit name really Charlie Hawk's Eyes? Hawkeye responds, you white people believe anything. Emmanuel DaCosta says, unbelievable. What are you going to do about this? I don't mind so much they broke the neck of the gold Iron Man of Midas. In fact, I thought it was quite funny, but now they're affecting my bottom line. Banner and I can't have that. Roxanne is a vital part of my portfolio. Who is Emmanuel DaCosta? Emmanuel DaCosta was the leader of the South American Society, one of the 7 sovereign bodies whose combined power governed the entire world. In turn, DaCosta was part of a secret council of world leaders under the leadership of the world's Imperator, the Maker, who orchestrated a geopolitical conflicts and alliances to rally their citizens together under a common cause. Emmanuel DaCosta was present at the Maker's castle in Latveria after a summit of the world's leader was interrupted by an army of super soldiers from the future sent by the warrior Kang to kill the Maker. He made acquaintances with a new member of their alliance, Howard Stark, introducing him to different members and eventually helping explain the insidious workings of their secret society. After Stark betrayed the Maker, trapping him inside his headquarters, the city, as it closed itself off from the rest of the world, DaCosta and the rest of the Cabal gathered to discuss their course of action in light of the Maker's absence, agreeing to wait 2 years to see if the city opened up. He was later among the world leaders contacted by Henry Dugarry after an encounter with Stark's son Anthony and his allies and learned of their efforts to dismantle their operations. Bruce Banner, then Hulk, places his massive hands on DaCosta's shoulder, showing him who's really in charge, and says, calm down, DaCosta. You agreed to defer to me in this. Do you doubt my strong and steady hand? I have studied these ultimates, their strengths, their weaknesses, their disharmonious ideas. They use advanced dark stealth technology. Their true identities are closely held secrets. If we crush 2 or 3, the others will go to the ground and gather strength in the shadows. The ultimates operate as insurgents. You can't destroy an insurgent piece by piece. DaCosta then says, so what do you propose? The Hulk responds, very simply, I'm going to kill them all at once. The Maker returns to Earth 616 in 13 months. Next, Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 6. Save the heroes, be the heroes, and make it quick. Quote, American Chavez. Ultimates assemble to take down the Hulk. The entire roster of the Ultimates unites for the first time in this high-octane climactic conclusion of the first arc. Iron Lad has a plan to defeat the Hulk, the most powerful and imposing member of the Maker's Council, but has he gotten his team in over their heads? Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 6. The story begins with Iron Lad giving a speech to the Ultimates. This is a rescue mission. 2 weeks ago, I cracked the Council's quantum encrypted internal communication system, the so-called overnet, which should have been impossible, by the way. Please clap. Between mind control operations and targeted environmental collapse, they talked about this place, a damage-controlled black site holding over a dozen superpowered prisoners. Yes, prisoners. They're still alive, but the Council's nervous due in no small part to our activities. They're set to be executed tomorrow unless we do something about it. Iron Lad continues. That's why for the first time I'm assembling the entire Ultimates network. The team assembled includes Iron Lad, the boy genius determined to fix the world, the Human Torch, recently restored antique android who once killed Hitler, Sith warrior goddess, jailer of Thor, disposed god of thunder and prisoner of Sith, Captain America, a man without a country, Wasp, ready for any challenge, big or small, Giant Man, who sometimes feels small but is growing into it, Hawkeye, wielding a Stone Age weapon with high-tech twist, She-Hulk, protector of Gamma Island, and America Chavez, an amnesic temporal refugee. Well, almost the entire network, says Iron Lad. There is also Doom, with post-traumatic scars, and Reed Richards, who has a secret. Doom is attempting, in some way, to bring back the Fantastic Four. Giant Man expresses concern about standing exposed in the front door, while Iron Lad reassures
reassures him, saying, I've taken care of the surveillance system. They won't see us coming. We don't expect much resistance at first, but we have to assume the place will be swarming with hand agents within 5 minutes. They may even have a superpowered asset or two nearby. Captain America adds, we don't want a prolonged fight, and after decades of confinement, these people could be injured, disoriented, or near death. America Chavez says, they're torturing human beings in there, so I kind of want a big fight, but I get it. Save the heroes, be the heroes, and make it quick. Iron Lad concludes, no one dies today, not because of us. This is a rescue mission. With that, Iron Lad blows the door open. Iron Lad, with a questioning tone, says, Ultimates, assemble? As they make it through to the other side, they are met with an unexpectedly peaceful scene, a serene space with galaxy stars and a towering statue. But waiting there calmly, sitting and drinking tea, is the Hulk, surrounded by the immortal weapons. The Hulk says, at last, patience is a tree with bitter roots that bears sweet fruits. Will you join me for some tea? It's immediately clear to the team that this is a trap. She-Hulk did not come for tea as she charges after Banner. Captain America knows this is the wrong move. She-Hulk swings again and again, but Banner just moves away, evading each attack. The Hulk has been watching Jonah since She-Hulk was a child, and hatred has made She-Hulk stronger. She has been saving it all for the Hulk. The Hulk, aware of this, says, I know you're saving this anger, saving this rage. It can be a devastating weapon. As Hulk's hands starts to glow, he retaliates. Banner sends She-Hulk flying with a single punch, using the atomic Iron Fist. The punch combines the power of the Hulk and the Iron Fist abilities, creating a force equivalent to 15 times the power of the Hiroshima bomb. The sheer force sends She-Hulk soaring through the air. As She-Hulk is still in the air, Hulk returns to his tea, calmly sitting down. Finally, She-Hulk lands hard on the ground, and Hulk remarks, now, how about that tea? I made enough for everyone. The Ultimates look on in shock. Meanwhile, Doom, who has been tracking the Ultimates, realizes that their signal has gone dark. Recognizing the setup, Doom mutters, what have you gotten yourself into now, Iron Lad? Magically, the door seals behind them, trapping the 10 Ultimates inside the city. Hulk declares, I have brought you to heaven, the immortal city of Kunlun. To be precise, I rule all 7 of heaven's capital cities. What does that make me, do you suppose? Iron Lad says, don't be afraid of him. There are 10 of us. He's still just one man. Hawkeye responds, one giant radioactive man. Banner replies, you should feel honored. It's not often that terrorists are granted entrance to heaven, but for you, I made special arrangements. Giant Man tells Janet he read about the men behind Banner. They're master pacifists, armed with syringes of gamma radiation. Hulk says, I hope we could be civil about this. I made tea, a much more peaceful death. The poison harvested from a flower that grows only on heaven's highest peak kills quickly and painlessly. But I suppose the time for tea is over. If the Ultimates had drunk the tea, they would have been poisoned and killed. Now the Ultimates will face the immortal instruments. The immortal instruments declare, we are his immortal instruments, his holy blood. No harm can come to us in his shadow. One either dies or is made strong. The immortal instruments consist of Decay's beautiful daughter, Fat Cobra, Uranium Brother 235, Prince of Meltdown, Bride of 9 World Breakers, and Crane Mother of the Bomb. These are Hulk's immortal weapons. Meanwhile, Doom searches for their signal but finds it lost. Doom exclaims, impossible. These instruments should be able to locate them anywhere in the universe. The Ultimates need a way, yet even Doom doesn't know their location. Captain America senses it's a trap that won't end well for the Ultimates. Before it can call for Thor to get them out, the Prince of Meltdowns launches a flying fusion stomp while the Bride of 9 World Breakers attacks Thor, preventing him from freeing the team. The immortal instruments line up against the Ultimates, ready for battle. Banner also joins the fray, setting his sights on Iron Lad. Iron Lad rallies the team, saying, Ultimates, we'll have to find our way out. Banner responds, isn't this what you wanted? My attention, my anger. Congratulations, you officially made me angry. He then slams Iron Lad with a devastating thermonuclear thunderfoot, pinning him
down as Uranium Brother 253 strikes Captain America's shield with the first of the Gamma Star. Human Torch tries to burn him, but Uranium Brother barely flinches. Hawkeye remarks, "Heaven's a lot more violent than I thought it would be." Meanwhile, Fat Cobra and Giant Man are wrestling, and despite Giant Man's size, Fat Cobra manages to grab his leg while Wasp attacks with energy blasts. Swiftly, Decay's beautiful daughter strikes Wasp with the Maestro's crippling crescent kick. Each of the Ultimates seem outmatched. Doom continues to search for their signals, scanning Avalon, Asgard, and even Hell itself, but finds no trace of the Ultimates network until suddenly a connection is established. Doom stares in disbelief, muttering, "But it's not possible." As the battle intensifies between the Ultimates and the Immortal Instruments, Iron Lad says, "It's all on your terms. We have to go." Banner replies, "You call yourself heroes, children living out your adolescent powers fantasies. I will teach you about power and the real world." As he prepares to unleash the Iron Fist, American Chavez charges into battle against Crane Mother the Bomb, who counters with Big Bang Phoenix Incineration, packing a force equivalent to 18 Hiroshima blasts. Thor withstands the atom-smashing thunderclap from the Prince of Meltdowns and strikes the Bride of Nine Breakers with manure. Meanwhile, Hulk delivers a Higgs knife hand strike to Iron Lad's force field. Banner says, "I have studied the teachings of the great Enlightenment masters and distilled 5,000 years of wisdom into 3 perfect words: peace through strength." As he delivers a Megatron extension third execution attack to Iron Lad, Hulk continues saying, "This is my message, the savage truth I bring. There is no such thing as heroes." He reveals that the Maker's plan was always to rid the world of heroes. Sif suffers the Madam Curse's death is by 10 million cuts by Decay's beautiful daughter. Uranium Brother 253 incapacitates Hawkeye, while the Human Torch flames have minimal effect on Uranium Brother's nuclear reactor powered heart. Captain America urges, "Don't stop, Jim. Everything has a limit." As Fat Cobra gains the high ground over Giant Man, Doom, accessing Iron Lad's visual feed, is astonished as he watches the chaotic scene unfold. The Immortal Instruments realize their only real threat is Thor's ability to transport the Ultimates to Asgard, so they assign 2 of their own to prevent him from escaping. The Bride of Nine Worldbreakers strikes Thor from behind, while the Prince of Meltdown seizes his hammer. Sif, now Thor's lover, cries out upon seeing him in danger, but Decay's beautiful daughter intercepts, striking her with Cyclotron, diverse technique, knocking Sif down. Fat Cobra dismisses the Wasp as little more than an insect and swiftly captures her with a picosecond particular pluck. Giant Man, in desperation, calls out for Jan. Hulk declares, "What we have accomplished is a miracle, and people love us for it. Look how we are loved." Fat Cobra consumes Janet as Banner. The Hulk stands over Iron Lad, now shielded by a new force field. The Hulk says, "You know, as the worldwide symbol for peace, I've missed blood on my hands. I wonder if Gandhi ever felt this way." He then strikes Iron Lad with a dual atomic iron fist, unleashing a force equivalent to 32 Hiroshima bombs, creating deafening bomb-like impact. Meanwhile, Doom says, "Use the signal." As the bridge Stark suit provides the precise location in high-dimensional space. Warning, don't forget to compensate for idiosyncratic physics. The flow of time and interdimensional shear will be a problem. Giant Man expands to a size never seen in the Ultimate Universe, enraged as he shouts, "I'll kill you," and throws a punch at Fat Cobra with all his strength. Fat Cobra counters with a supermassive body block, but suddenly there's an unexpected interruption inside Fat Cobra's stomach. As Janet returns to full size, she bursts out of Fat Cobra's stomach, leaving him in pieces. Fat Cobra dies as a result of having devoured the Wasp, who expanded within him to escape. Giant Man rushes, check on Janet, ensuring she's all right. Meanwhile, back at the Ultimate headquarters, Doom's signal strength is fading rapidly with only 7 seconds left before the signal is lost. Doom mutters, 7 seconds and 7,000 unknowns. One mistake and everyone is dead. All the heroes are overwhelmed by the Immortal Instruments. Jim Hammond, the Human Torch, has his head busted open. Captain America is thrown aside. America Chavez is knocked out, and Thor is relentlessly pummeled. Banner, delivering the Professor's enlightened corner throw, taunts them, saying, "I should thank you." Blowing up pipelines, destabilizing power grids, burning down the White House. You've only driven them deeper into our arms. Nothing makes one crave the status quo quite like violent threat to it. A few will be inspired, but most will be afraid, afraid of chaos, afraid of change, afraid of losing what little they have. Banner continues. In time, they'll wonder if the Ultimates ever truly existed or if the whole thing was an elaborate conspiracy. If you didn't work for us all alone, in a way, I suppose you did. Rest now, little Stark. You've earned it. In the end, you were our little best soldier. Banner then puts Iron Lad in a massive vice grip, squeezing him until the lights go out on the chest plate and he drops him crippled and crushed to the floor. As She-Hulk charges in rage, shouting no, she grabs Hulk and begins pounding him repeatedly, grounding him with fierce punches. She-Hulk shouts, "You destroy everything. Enough." Hulk responds, "I'm impressed. In a different world, your spirit might count for something." With that, he grabs She-Hulk's arm and brutally rips her hand from her body. Hulk continues, "But this is not that world. Take heart. Your defeat here will prevent a wider conflict. Your sacrifice saved millions of lives. In truth, dying will be the most heroic thing the Ultimates have ever done." Meanwhile, Doom watches the countdown of the signals lost, murmuring, "Now or never, life or death. All hope lives in Doom." He activates the Immortus Engine, a time machine used by the Maker to reshape the history of Earth 6160 to his own vision. The device's exact origins are unknown due to the brain damage the Maker sustained during an attack by the future warrior Kang. With Doom's intelligence and quick action, he managed to save She-Hulk from death along with the rest of the team by teleporting them out of the city of Kung Lu and back to their base. America Chavez, still catching her breath, turns to Doom and asks, "How?" But before he could answer the question, She-Hulk shouts, "No, too late. You were too late. Iron Lad is dead." She holds his breathless, broken, lifeless body, and we learn the Ultimates. Iron Lad has fallen. Only 12 months remain before the Maker's return. Next, Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 7.
Now we know this destruction comes with an ideology, a movement of hate. But in the face of hate, what else can we do but fully commit ourselves to love and forgiveness and pray for them? Yes, even them. Quote, Father Murdoch. Who are the Ultimates? A new story arc begins. Perfect jumping on point for the uninitiated. The aftermath of the explosive last issue, including the loss of a major member. Join the Ultimates in their secret headquarters as they regroup and launch their bold new plan to change the world. Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 7. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Council, that rules the world from the shadows. But now the Maker is gone, locked away for the next 12 months by inventor Howard Stark. Howard's teenage son Tony took on the codename Iron Lad and began recruiting a network of heroes to fight back against the Maker's Council and prepare for the Maker's return, but not without consequences. To retaliate, the Council framed Tony for an attack on New York City that killed thousands. On a recent mission, the Ultimates were ambushed by Council member the Hulk. They suffered a brutal defeat, but Doom was able to rescue them by using the forbidden Immortus Engine. Help arrived too late, though, as She-Hulk made the devastating declaration that Iron Lad was dead. Following the apparent death of Tony Stark, the Ultimates struggled to cope with the loss of their leader. Their team suffered a devastating defeat at the hands of the Ultimate Hulk. In Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 6, Steve Rogers, Captain America, and Jim Hammond, the Human Torch, find themselves walking through the streets of New York, reflecting on their failure and searching for answers. While Steve refuses to embrace modern technology, clinging to the past, Jim, being a machine rebuilt in the modern era, is fully adapt to the advancements of the present. The journey takes them to Steve's favorite bar, a historic establishment that has been standing since the 1800s. It holds personal significance for Steve, as it's a place where he and Bucky used to sneak in during their high school years. On the one-year anniversary of the attack on Stark Tower, Father Matt Murdock delivers a heartfelt speech at Stark Tower Memorial, memorial. During the speech, the Ultimates are falsely implicated in the attack, a lie that Murdoch unknowingly believes. Despite this, he appeals for love and forgiveness towards the Ultimates, showcasing his unwavering faith in redemption. Meanwhile, at the pub, Steve Rogers and Jim Hammond discuss the fractured state of their team. They recognize the need for new leadership to restore hope and direction. With Iron Lad's tragic death, it becomes clear that Captain America and Steve Rogers must step up and take the helm of the Ultimates. Hank and Janet attend Matt Murdock's speech at the Stark Tower Memorial. The weight of their responsibility as superhero looms heavily over them, when Hank voicing his fears that their actions may have indirectly or directly caused more innocent lives to be lost. During the speech, Matt Murdock reflects solemnly, stating, "1 year later, I still don't understand the darkness that drives men to commit such acts, to make their point with the death of thousands." He acknowledges the destruction often comes tethered to ideology, a movement rooted in hate. Amid the crowd, voices rise, accusing the Ultimates of the killings, a misguided belief that only deepens Hank and Janet's sorrow as they grapple with the public's misperception. Hank says, "I just thought it would be good for us to come after everything we've been through lately. With Tony and you almost died." Janet, trying to reassure him, replies, "But I didn't die. I'm okay." Hank, unconvinced, responds, Don't pretend everything's fine." The couple takes a moment to read the names of those killed in the explosion 1 year ago, etched into the memorial. Above them looms a sign sponsored by Oscorp, as the lingering tension of their role in the world remains unresolved, a haunting shadow over their lives. Hank says, "The things we've seen, the things we've done, people have died because of us, Jan. Innocent people, directly or indirectly. Don't pretend it doesn't bother you. I know you're not sleeping. I know because I'm not sleeping. How long do you think we can keep going like this?" He pauses, then continues, "I just thought it would be good if we could mourn together or something. I guess, I don't know, it was stupid." Janet gently replies, "No, it was a good idea, Hank. Genius, actually." Where is the next member of the Ultimates? Hawkeye infiltrates an Oscorp defense warehouse, uncovering weapons being shipped to the upper and lower kingdoms for their secret war. The vigilante destroys the weapons and the entire building while sparing the security guards and loaders. Despite being a hero for only a short time, Hawkeye realized that all these different wars and the evil machinations orchestrated by the Maker and his cabal are interconnected. He understands that they all need to be dismantled to prevent further destruction. In Guatemala, a student protest movement demanding the restoration of democracy face a violent crackdown by armored riot police. The brutality is interrupted by the arrival of American Chavez. Despite still suffering from amnesia and unsure of her original universe, America is determined to make the most of her powers. Using her abilities, she melts the policeman's high-tech armor, trapping them and preventing further violence. Addressing the protesters, she speaks passionately about a better world she believed can exist and the purpose of the Ultimates as revolutionaries for change. Her actions bolster the Ultimates' image as defenders of the oppressed. Before departing, America teleports the protesters safely back to their homes to prevent their arrests. When asked about her origins, she simply replies, "I don't know. Every time I try to think about the past, I end up thinking about the future." America Chavez sat and spoke for us for a while. She talked about a better world, one she believed existed or could exist, and how it was everyone's responsibility to make it a reality. She said, "There's a name for people who believe as she does. The Ultimate." She told us that if we wanted, we could be Ultimates too. Sif and Thor traveled to Yggdrasil to raise an army from across the 9 realms in order to launch a rebellion against All-Father Loki. On the Triskelion, Lejor physically manhandles Doom as she demands him to teleport her back to her home and her people, but Doom explains that he cannot allow her, as the Hulk still monitors her island and will very likely capture her and torture her to reveal everything about the Ultimate. Lejor dejectedly puts down Doom and now realizes staying away from her people is the only thing that keeps her people safe. For now, they can only continue their war against the Maker's Council. Doom reflects, saying, "I am out of practice with people. Honestly, I don't think I was ever good with them. The Ultimates, that was his idea," referring to Tony Stark, the Iron Lad. Matt Murdock solemnly states, now we know this destruction comes from an ideology, a movement of hate, She-Hulk burdened with responsibility, and now he's left us to hold it all together. Doom offers a suggestion saying, perhaps I can tap into the Hulk surveillance system. You won't be able to be there with them, but you'll be able to see that they are safe. She-Hulk nod. Thank you. That will be better. Doom resolute concludes, we must keep going. We owe it to them. We owe it to all of them, as they both look into a container, determined to press forward in their fight. Inside the container lies Tony Stark, the Iron Lad. As She-Hulk places her hand on the container, holding Tony's comatose body, it is revealed Tony is still alive. However, in every practical and legal sense, he is in a vegetation state, clinging to life with the help of machines. There's a glimmer of hope that he might recover someday, but that day seems far away. Throughout the issue, they said Tony was gone, but never said he was dead. The Ultimates now face the daunting task of carrying on without the man who brought them together, without the leader whose plan this was all. The clock is ticking, 11 months remaining until the Maker returns, and the weight of saving their world rests heavier than ever on the Ultimates' shoulders. Next, Ultimates Volume 4, Issue 8. You lose, America. The Unmaker wins. Quote, Captain Marvel, the ultimate guardians of the galaxy, America Chavez, takes center stage in this issue as a group of galactic travelers from a far-flung, maker-free future arrive in search of her. Ultimate, Volume 4, Issue 8. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Council, that rules the world from the shadows. But now the Maker is gone, locked away for the next 11 months by inventor Howard Stark. Howard's teenage son Tony took on the codename Iron Lad and began recruiting a network of heroes to fight back against the Maker's Council and prepare for the Maker's return. One of those heroes is American Chavez, an amnesiac young woman rescued from the clutches of the Council who had been siphoning her unbelievable power, but she was no match when the Ultimates were ambushed by the Council member, the Hulk. Though Doom managed to rescue them after a brutal defeat, Iron Lad remains in critical condition, yet the Ultimate preserved. In January 2025, Doom, via a floating drone called Doom Drone, takes Captain America, America Chavez, Wasp, Giant Man, She-Hulk, and the Human Torch to a cornfield for a temporal event detected by the Triskelions tachyon detection array. Doom Drone explains that tachyon particles move backward, forward, and sideways through time, indicating that a temporal event has either already occurred or will occur. As a spacecraft jumps through eras and destination, it first travels back 4,181 years, then 2,584 years, all to the same location in time. Captain America questions if the Council possesses a time machine, but Doom replies, not to my knowledge. The time machine continued traveling back 1602 years to the cornfield, and then 828 years further in the past. America Chavez senses the vessel rocketing through the fourth dimension, traveling exotic particles as it skims the cosmic superband. The temporal event manifests as a vessel, a time machine, crewed by the Guardians of the Galaxy of the 61st century. The Guardians consist of Star-Lord, Ultimate Nullifier, the Sentient Canine, Cosmo, Starstalker, and their leader, Captain Marvel. They have traveled to this exact time and place for America Chavez, one of their missing members. Captain Marvel, in particular, seeks to save America from a broken past. She says, across uncountable eons, pursued by 4D hyper-conquerors to rise and fall of emperors, waded through the drowned armies of twisted pseudo-legends, face down in the superflow, traded information with the vast cool intelligence outside of time. All find you, America, our America. America Chavez does not recognize Captain Marvel, continues. No, me? Together we defeated the Ultron Dominion, splitting ourselves through the infinity prison to fight simultaneously in every moment of time and space. With the 24 celestial hosts returned and judged the Milky Way of failure, it was us who developed a new form of super diplomacy to convince them otherwise. It was your idea to work
work together to generate enough cosmic energy to convert contraction into expansion during the negative zone into the positive zone, and ushering in a new age of abundance, peace, and growth for the backward universe. We are the Guardians of the Galaxy, the greatest heroes of the 61st century. Know us, you're one of us. We came here on a ship powered by pure hope to save you from this broken past. America Chavez is revealed to be from Earth TRN 1510, not Earth 616. In her home universe, she was a crucial member of its Guardians of the Galaxy. She played a significant role in defeating the Ultron Dominion, convincing the 24 celestial hosts not to annihilate their universe, and transforming the negative zone into the positive zone. However, America has no memory of any of this. As the Ultimates possess the Immortus Engine, the Guardian of the Galaxy reveal they also have their own time machine, a fact Doom finds very intriguing. American Chavez, however, is confused and does not recognize the Guardians. Much to Captain Marvel's surprise, Marvel attempts to jog America's memory of her time with the Guardian, but Rogers intervenes, cautioning Marvel about her aggressive approach. Annoyed by Rogers, Marvel retaliates by blasting him away with her omnibands. The Ultimates are not pleased with Marvel's aggression, leading to a battle between the two groups. Meanwhile, Doom watches the pointless fight with exasperation. Captain America throws his shield, but Captain Marvel's omnibands create a force field to block it. Marvel increasingly aggressive demands, "You must remember us, America." The narrative then shifts to introduce the other members of the Guardians of the Galaxy. First is Star-Lord, the master of the solar system, lord of the 12 houses and the land beyond the sun. Using the power of the sun, he swiftly incapacitates both Wasp and Giant Man. Next is the Ultimate Nullifier, who once in a duel in the burning back alleys of Pandemonium shot Mephisto through his black heart with a bullet. She defeated Mephisto. The Ultimate Nullifier says there's no need to struggle, there's nothing to struggle against, boasting of a singly-handling erasing concept of eternal suffering from the universe. When She-Hulk charges forward, the Ultimate Nullifier quips, "I just zeroed out your kinetic energy," freezing her mid-charge. She explains, "The guns can nullify anything. I fully understand. We learn thermodynamics in the 3rd grade." The Ultimates quickly realize they are utterly outmatched by the Guardians and their unconventional powers, all while Marvel continues her effort to make America remember who she truly is. We are then introduced to the next member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmo, Star Stalker. Captain Marvel says, "Surely you remember Cosmo, Star Stalker, who stayed behind to protect humanity after all other canines ascended to a higher state of being. The ultimate good boy." Cosmos adds, "We never gave up on you, America, never." Captain Marvel continues, "And I'm Captain Marvel, the protector of the universe and the wielder of the Omnibands. You really don't remember me." America Chavez responds, You're attacking my friends." Captain Marvel retorts, "Them, your friends? These twisted, deathless recreations, these sad mockeries of what should have been." Meanwhile, the Ultimate Nullifier shoots at Captain America, blast passing through his shield, while Star-Lord effortlessly inhales all the flames unleashed by the Human Torch. America Chavez says, "Don't talk about my friends that way." Captain Marvel responds, "They're not your friends. We're your friends. Show her Cosmos." Following her order, Cosmos uses his telepathic powers to help America regain her memories. However, he is shocked to discover that America's mind has been tampered with using psychic instruments by her captors. Cosmos realizes that America's memories cannot be retrieved and says, "I'm so very sorry. Those memories cannot be retrieved. They've been amputated, her past erased." Cosmos' intrusion into America's mind causes her to lash out. In her anger, she unleashes a powerful blast that knocks back both the Ultimates and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Captain America stands up as the Ultimates regain some consciousness and says, "I've never kicked a dog in my life, but after what you just did to America, I'm considering it." Cosmos replies, "I apologize. We have more liberal ideas about psychic consent where we come from, especially between Guardians. It goes against my every principle to enter the mind uninvited, but you were particularly screaming it." Cosmos then continues, "Tell me, are you aware that all you share the same bad dream?" The Ultimates look on as a recurring nightmare is revealed, all of them lying dead at the hands of the Ultimate Hulk. Captain America has a shield through his stomach. The Human Torch is burnt out. Iron Man and She-Hulk are decapitated. Hawkeye lies dead. Lady Sif with a sword in her back and Wasp and Giant Man die together with Thor's hammer. resting near him. Their dream is clear. The ultimate Hulk kills them all. Meanwhile, Star-Lord confronts Doom and warns him not to interfere. He notices that this Doom is not the one he and the Guardian know, but senses something both familiar and dangerous about him. Displaying powers never seen before, Star-Lord declares, "I have temporarily disabled your space, stage, communication, surveillance, transportation, and weapon systems, all as your primitive time machine. America belongs with us. Do not attempt to interfere." Star-Lord then notices the comatose Tony Stark and recalls a crucial memory that either Reed Richards or Tony Stark will be responsible for the untold suffering and deaths of trillions, while the other could have saved everything. Looking at Tony, he says, "The man in the iron mask, the man in the iron lung. Now I remember you. One will be responsible for untold suffering and deaths of trillions, and the other could save everything. Now which was it?" Doom head bows in silence. Captain Marvel pleads, "Stop, America, please stop." As the two collide, she then touches American Chavez and says, "If they took your past, then I'll give you mine. My life is yours. Remember, Marvel. My life is your life. Remember?" Marvel attempts another way to help America regain her memories by sharing her own memories with her. America learns she is from the 61st century, a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Marvel's lover. In that future, a utopia of 400 million inhabited worlds thrive, protected by the Guardians, a force consisting of 250,000 members. The Guardians saved the universe on a monthly basis for millenniums, but their present began to unravel due to the temporal manipulations of the Maker, known to the Guardians as the Unmaker. The Guardians sent a team of their most experienced members, Starhawk, Yondu, Charlie, Nikki Gold, and Martinex, into the past to investigate. Only Martinex returned, barely alive, with a chilling warning: "The Unmaker, we are unmade." Captain Marvel continues explaining, "The greatest minds of a galaxy convene. Mentor 137, the Parliament of World Minds, the Human Supreme Intelligence, and the Eternal Unimind. Ideas were suggested, debated, and discarded at the speed of light. The challenge was impossible, but the oath these people had taken was clear: save everything. Creation itself was racing to erase us." She adds, "So we did the impossible. We turned the entire 61st century into an arc, a century ship, and plotted all 100 years of our existence out of our unraveling reality and into the superflow, the informational space between universes. Unable to stop the Maker in the distant past, the Guardians sought to survive the rewriting of reality by plotting this century ship. But the Maker, what we call the Unmaker, found us. We encountered an army stationed just outside of time, led by a mad, brilliant conqueror. While the rest of us forge ahead to protect our fragile century, our most powerful members, Captain Universe, Starbrand, Molecule Boy, the Phoenix, and even Gary, wielder of the Infinity Gauntlet, struggle to maintain the integrity of the ship, existing in a present without a past or future. It was an impossible challenge even for them. However, the Guardians encountered a mad, brilliant conqueror and his super soldier army of clones. The Guardians fought valiantly against the Conqueror's army, while their most powerful members struggled to maintain cohesion of reality, enough for survival, but it was all in vain." Captain Marvel continues, "How do you describe the death of the universe? The head holds only fragmented moments. Xandar, the bright mind hero star of Trantea, so overcome with grief, it went supernova and collapsed into the black hole. The 10 billion descendants of Banner, the so-called planet Hulk, trying to hold back reality with their bare hands, useless. And then there was the terrible bloated corpse of Galactus, the life-bringer, seeder of the worlds, floating through space like rotting rogue world with the unspeakable things that had begun to grow inside of him. The 61st century collapse, which forced Captain Marvel to pilot the century ship to return to their rewritten time period. As a result, the century ship crashed, ending centillion lives and hurling a few surviving Guardians, including America, across the time stream at the speed of light. The Guardians were scattered in different time periods. Marvel landed in the prehistoric past, where despite all odds, she used Stone Age tools to construct the Guardian ship, the Apocatasis, out of the broken fragments of the 61st century, and began the search for her fellow Guardian. The Guardians previously came to January 1st, 2025 for the Missing America because the Maker had created a hard time from 1963 to 2024 that made it impossible for the Guardians to travel into that period. America had fallen into that period, and it was until the year 2025 came the Cosmos was able to catch her scent. Marvel elaborates that once the Guardians gather all the surviving members, they will find a way to undo the Maker's work and save the rightful future. Star-Lord reassures the Ultimates that the Guardians have methods to make sure their present is not erased. Captain Marvel says, "So what do you say?" America Chavez responds, "This is a rescue mission." Captain Marvel replies, "Exactly. So you'll join us?" America Chavez whispers, "No," and repeats herself firmly, "No." Captain Marvel, taken aback, says, "But all that we've been through." America interrupts, "Those were beautiful memories, but they were yours, not mine. Can you understand? They don't belong to me anymore. I believe that I loved you, but I don't know you. I don't remember anything, but I do remember that I'm part of something important here, that I've committed myself to saving the future this way. The Maker comes out of the city in 10 months. We're going to be ready for him. We're going to fix the world." Captain Marvel retorts, "Haven't you been listening? We know this world's future. We've been there. We've seen it with our own eyes." America, despite learning who she is, stuns Marvel that she is not ready to rejoin the Guardians. She still does not have all her memories and does not know Marvel. Furthermore, she is committed to help the Ultimates and save their present and world from the Maker. Marvel is left incredulous and tries to make America realize that there's no chance to win against the Maker because the Guardians already know Earth's future. But America's undeterred. Captain Marvel concludes, "You lose, America. The Unmaker wins," as she reveals what happens to the Ultimates and the fate of this universe. America Chavez says, "Maybe, but the future can change. We're proof of that, aren't we?" Giant Man adds, "What I don't get is this. They came to this exact spot by tracking America's unique aura, but America was only here because Doom detected them coming hours ago. So which came first? What caused what?" Wasp responds, "Best not to think about it, honey." Captain Marvel says, "I can't believe this. You're turning your back on us for them." America replies, "Don't pout. I have a feeling that's not like you." Captain Marvel hands her a temporal flare and says, "At least take this. Wherever we are, we will see it. And when you need us, we'll be there. This isn't goodbye. You've broken my heart, but my purpose remains intact. There are other Guardians stranded out there, and we can't rest until we found them all." America Chavez responds, "Save everything." Captain Marvel, surprised, says, "The Guardian oath. You do remember." Realizing she cannot convince her lover, Marvel reluctantly departs with her team to continue their search for the other missing Guardians, leaving America with the flare call for help whenever she needs them. Captain Marvel leaves Earth 6160 and tells America Chavez, "Good luck, America. I do not envy you. I've seen this world's future. It's all impossible choices and tragic outcome." Meanwhile, Doom stands over the comatose body of the Iron Lad. One of these two Ultimates will cause trillions of deaths and be the reason for the end of the universe. The other will have a chance to stop his friend. Will it be Doom, who is Reed Richards, a variant of the Maker, who has been tortured by the Maker? Or will it be the Iron Lad, whose comatose state has changed him, making him more robotic, more artificial intelligent? The one thing we know, the Maker is coming back in 10 months. Next, Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 9. It doesn't matter the color of your skin or what god you worship. The only distinction that matters in here is the distinction between the guards and the prisoners, the guard and the inmate, us and them. The guards are our only enemy here. Our most immediate struggle is with them and through them, the unjust system they uphold. We struggle for nothing more and nothing less than control over our own lives. Quote Luke Cage. Luke Cage and the ultimate prison break. Juan Frigeri joins Denise Camp to bring us the history and the future of Luke Cage. Spider-Man isn't the only success story of Ultimates 1.0. Meet the man who has been quietly sabotaging the Maker's Council from behind bars. Ultimates Volume 4, Issue 9. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Council, that rules the world from the
shadows. But now the Maker is gone, locked away for the next 10 months by inventor Howard Stark. Howard's teenage son Tony took on the codename Iron Lad and began recruiting a network of heroes to fight back against the Maker's council and prepare for the Maker's return. But after the Hulk ambush, this network of Ultimates, Iron Lad nearly died and remains in critical condition. Originally, Iron Lad used Stark boxes to send technology and heroic material to people to teach them of the heroes they were meant to become. His first success was Peter Parker, who allowed himself to be bitten by a radioactive spider to become Spider-Man. However, this story isn't about Peter Parker. In February 2005 at Seagate Penitentiary, a 15-year-old Carl Lucas, known as Luke Cage, is shocked to learn from a man representing him, who is not a lawyer, that he is being sentenced to a term of 1 year to life. His representative tries to reassure him that he could be released within a year, whereas he would have faced a mandatory 5-year sentence otherwise. However, Luke protests that he does not even know what he is being convicted of, as his sentencing took place in an administrative trial whose details remain unknown even to his representative. The man tells him, "Carl Lucas, Luke Cage, you're going away for a while. Don't look so glum. It's just 1 year. You'll be out before you know it." But 1 year later, Luke remains at Seagate and is constantly subjugated to physical abuse from the guard. During that time, Luke began working his body into shape by lifting weights. By 2010, Luke took an interest in reading anti-penal system literature. Among the books Luke Cage is reading is Soul Dad Brother by George Jackson. Luke Cage is building his body and mind. In 2014, the guards confronted Luke for forming his own prison gang. Luke tries to explain that it was a reading group, but the guards viciously club him as they accuse him for being a troublemaker and a dangerous element. One of the inmates questions another, asking, "How many times has Luke Cage been to the infirmary since he got here?" The other inmate responds, "I lost count. He must have broken every bone in his body a dozen times by now. They said he's unbreakable." The other guard scoffs, "No one's unbreakable." In January 2024, Luke is awakened from his sleep by the arrival of Stark box sent by Tony Stark from 6 months into the future. The Stark recording explains the life Luke was meant to have and presents him with the chance to free the world from the Maker's Council. Tony Stark says, "Luke Cage, this is for you. These catalysts will grant you unbreakable skin and unbelievable strength, tools to build a society that can be perfectly directed and controlled. Together, we will free the world." As Luke Cage gains his powers, Iron Lad continues, "They stole your future, robbed you of your destiny. Do you want it back?" Stark's ionic catalyst, Luke gains superhuman strength and unbreakable skin. With his new powers, Luke causes an uprising and leads the inmates to take over the prison. "We are taking Seagate. We are taking the prison. All power to the people." Several months later in June, Iron Lad visits Luke and offers to welcome him to the Ultimates. However, Luke declines to join the team, believing he can do more by dismantling the Maker's system from within. Iron Lad descends and says, "Congratulations on taking the prison and freeing yourself, Mr. Cage. Welcome to the Ultimates. You're one of the very few first generations who worked out. We can get you out of here." Luke Cage responds, "Actually, I think I can do more good inside than out." Iron Lad says, "I don't understand. After all you've endured." Luke Cage interrupts, "Because of all I've endured, I know I can't get free until everybody's free." Luke Cage is then transferred, and over the speaker, a voice announces, "Welcome to New Brunswick Correctional, a Midas Group facility." Midas was a self-made entrepreneur with connections to the clandestine Makers Council, a cabal composed of various world leaders of the 7 super nations that constituted the world and exerted a significant influence over society. Told in Ultimates Volume 4, Issue 2. In February 2025, Luke has himself transferred to the Gordium Correctional Facilities, a Midas Group penitentiary specializing in the for-profit prison space. Luke and the other prisoners have their global citizenship officially revoked, and they have no rights of any kind within the facility. They must obey the guards and follow rules in order to stay out of trouble. Luke saves fellow inmate Danny Rand for being knifed from behind. Of course, Danny Rand is supposed to be the Iron Fist, but in this universe, the Hulk possesses those powers. Luke befriends Danny and invites him to his reading session where he expresses his criticisms of the penal system. Soon he convinces Danny and some other inmates to plan a prison break. Luke Cage tells Danny Rand and the other prisoners what is happening here is modern-day slavery, nothing less. Slavery is a social death. Is it to be forever cut off from your contacts and community? Is it to have never been born? They have made us into non-people explicitly. They say it's about justice. They say it's about law. It's not about about any of that. It's about power. It doesn't matter the color of your skin or what you worship. The only distinction that matters in here is the distinction between the guards and the prisoners, the guards and the inmates, us and them. The guards are our only enemy here. Our most immediate struggle is with them and through them. The unjust system they upload. We struggle for nothing more and nothing less than control of our own lives. If we are to succeed in our struggles, you'll have to fight for the life of the man next to you as if it were your own, because it is. Believe me, if they come for him one morning, they'll be coming for you that night. The people, whether inside these walls or outside, have no control over their lives, but we can take control. First this facility and then our future. The only difference between the inside and outside is one of maximum security and minimum weak point. In here, the system cannot stand. The world can no longer afford it. It never could. It cannot be reformed. The system resists reform. It must be transformed into the revolutionary sense. We must take power back for the people, many of whom will be first be afraid of us. That's okay. Tomorrow, we're going to scare them, not to death, but to life. The guards quickly learn of the planned prison break and bring Luke and his cohort be executed by firing squad. The AIM commander sneers, a prison break. You thought you could hide a prison break from us. You can't trust criminals. If any of you could be trusted, you wouldn't be criminals, would you? See, it's just your nature. That's why you're in here. Just because you break a law doesn't make you a criminal, and you don't have to break a law to be a criminal. A criminal is just something you are, something you were born as. Cases like this, attempted escapes, failed riots, fall under strict Midas rules. Use lethal force to discourage recidivism. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't fill you with holes, convict, but I'll tell you what, I'm not ashamed to say that I love my job. As the prisoners are lined up to be shot, the execution begins. But the guards learn their unfortunate mistake as their bullets do not leave a scratch or mark on Luke. Luke Cage says, "All right, gentlemen, we're taking over now." In turn, Luke easily breaks free from his chains and begins attacking the guards. Remember, this all part of Luke's real plan to stage another takeover, just he had done in the other prisons before entering Gordon. Luke Cage smashes more AIM guards as he shouts, "Follow the plan, all power to the people, all power to the people." Luke Cage, February 2025, Gordon Correctional Facility. Danny Rand and the rest of the prison have taken over the facility, and Luke Cage screams once again, "All power to the people." In February 2025, aboard the TRS Helion satellite, LaJory privately talked to a comatose Tony Stark. LaJory says, "Doom says that you cannot hear me, that I only waste my breath, but there is no one else to talk to, and Doom doesn't know everything. I wanted to tell you, whatever you are feeling, Tony, whatever pain, whatever torment, whatever desire to escape, stay strong, it will pass. I know when I begin my transformation, I spent weeks listening to my bones break and reform, my flesh tear itself apart and grow back again and again. I threw up my own lungs, felt new organisms grow and rearrange themselves inside me. My belly was a pit of snakes in agony. I know pain, I know fear, I know that part of you wishes to give up. There was a part of me too, but you cannot, Tony. What brought me back was a promise. I must return to my people, Tony. They need me, I need you. This is why you cannot die. Do you understand? You made me a promise. You made all of us a promise, and I know that you will keep it." After finishing her words, LaJory leaves Tony. Moments later, Tony opens his eyes. 9 months remaining to the Maker's return. Next, Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 10. You know there's a lesson in there somewhere about symbols and their contact. Down there, he's a miracle. Up here, he's a joke. The fish that never rot. Quote, Grand Skull, Namor, and the Red Skull. Captain America and the Human Torch lead a team to recruit their old comrade, Namor, but they'll have to get through the Red Skull gang first. Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 10. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Councils, that rules the world from the shadows. But now the Maker is gone, locked away for the next 9 months by inventor Howard Stark. Howard's teenage son Tony took on the codename Iron Lad and began recruiting a network of heroes to fight back against the Maker's Council and prepare for the Maker's return. After Council member the Hulk ambushed this network of Ultimates, Iron Lad was left in critical condition, but in the meantime, the Ultimates continue their mission, including Captain America and the Human Torch, two of the only people who remember life before the Maker. But they're not the only one. In Earth 616, Hitler did not kill himself, but was burned alive by the Human Torch, Jim Hammond. Adolf Hitler was the leader of Nazi Germany. On April 30th, 1945, during World War II, he was burned to death in his bunker by the Human Torch. The Soviet Union informed the world that Hitler had committed committed suicide as a cover for history. The Wasp asks Jim Hammond how it felt killing Hitler. The Human Torch says, how did it feel? My brain isn't the world's oldest computer, but it's close. In the old days, I had to manually erase memories so it wouldn't slow down and seize up under the weight of all that history. I gave up my Medal of Honor and the memory of receiving that Medal of Honor. I gave up good friends, good years, and most memories of my brilliant father, Dr. Horton. I played the piano, but even that had to go. But that memory, I kept it in full color and high definition. I go back to do it again and again. The Ultimates, consisting of Captain America, the Human Torch, Hawkeye, Wasp, and Giant Man, are sent on an infiltration mission to Castletown, the permanent home and headquarters of the neo-Nazi Red Skulls. Tony Stark has awakened from his coma, and while his body is still being surgically healed, he insists on observing the team's operations, much to Roger's consternation, as he wants the young Stark to rest. The Red Skulls are a secessionist group inspired by the Nazi super soldier Jonathan Smith, aka the Red Skull. They have appropriated the tactics and iconography of the 1970s New York City officer turned vigilante Frank Castle the Punisher. An identity-driven group, the Red Skulls are ostensibly anti-establishment, but have primary focus on terrorizing the weak and vulnerable. So far, the Red Skulls have survived purges from the Makers Council and leaders Obadiah Stane and Howard Stark by using their families, especially their children, as human shields within their compound. There are 23 such militia towns across North America Union, and Castletown is one of them. It is home to approximately 1,500 men, women, and children, as well as the current Grand Skull leader of the National Red Skull movement. The Ultimates sneak into Castletown while Tony Stark monitors the situation. The Ultimates non-lethally subdue Red Skull members on their way into the main building. Hawkeye uses stun arrows to knock out a few soldiers, while Captain America knocks out 2 others with his fists. Then Wasp and Giant Man are up next. Wasp takes down 2 soldiers by going through their ears and knocking off their equilibrium. While the Ultimates fight Iron Lad, Tony gives his assessment of the team. He starts with Giant Man and Wasp, noting that they are perfect for this type of operation on paper. Pym particles give them the ability to shrink as well as grow. Wasp is a natural, smart but not neurotic, confident but not cocky. It's like she's been doing this forever. But our partner, Giant Man, is another story. He has a big heart, but this kind of work just isn't for him. Hank is always second-guessing himself, hesitating when he shouldn't. It'll get him killed one day, probably soon. Tony evaluates Hawkeye, who never hesitates. The trick is making sure he's aimed in the right direction. His quiver fabricates noise-canceling knockout arrows. The men don't even whisper as they fall. Tony Stark says the Red Skulls have nothing to do with the Makers Council. They're not a priority. Captain America responds, I received information that connects this organization to the Hand, and Nazis are always a priority. As Tony Stark monitors battles around the world, he isn't just watching the Ultimates. He also sees Spider-Man armor taking on the Shadow King and the Black Panther battling Moon Knight, all while undergoing surgery on his back. Tony says Steve doesn't argue. He never argues. Whenever possible, Captain America lets his actions speak for him. As Captain America moves through the main base, Castle Alpha 1, he leads the Ultimates forward. Tony says, but even so, seeing is no longer believing. Reality is so easily doctored now. Nothing is what it seems, and everything can mean something else. The truth must be verified by hand. So here we are fighting Nazis with laser guns. It strikes my upgraded sense of humor as funny, but I don't laugh. Some things never change. As the Ultimates move forward, taking out the neo-Nazi group wearing Punisher symbols on their fatigues, we also get a flashback of Namor, the Submariner, Captain America, Bucky, and the Human Torch fighting Nazis as the invaders 100 years ago. Upon reaching the inside, they find what they're looking for. The body of Namor the Submariner, mounted and displayed. The new leader of the neo-Nazi group, Grand Skull, says, the gang's all here. It's an invaders reunion. The team are soon immediately confronted by more Red Skulls led by their leader, the Grand Skull, who is expecting them and knows more about Captain America and the invaders in general. The Grand Skull explains that according to Namor's certificate, the Atlantean king was overthrown in a coup and executed according to Atlantean law, along with his many wives, allies, and heirs.
heirs. But Namor's body became a holy site for the oppressed Atlanteans living under the new brutal regime. Furthermore, Namor's body does not decay, in which his worshippers believe the ocean's microorganisms refuse to eat his body, and therefore even Namor is dead. Every living thing underwater recognizes its rightful king. The new king of Atlantis was not very pleased by this and had Namor's body exiled to the surface. Namor ended up in the possession of the Grand Skull's predecessor, who then used the dead allied hero as a recruitment tool, in which the Grand Skull comments that Namor is nothing but a fish that never rocked. Captain America says, "Ultimate, this is what we trained for. Clear the room." After the Grand Skull finishes his explanation, the Ultimates begin attacking the Red Skulls effortlessly and forcing their leader to retreat. Roger chases after the Grand Skull. Captain America says, "I'm going to break open your skull, maybe more than once." The Grand Skull replies, "Now wait a minute. You know you could learn a lot from us, how we operate. I mean, we both preach violent revolutions against the world government, but we've been at it a lot longer than you have." Captain America retorts, "You're racist thugs and murderers. You're nothing like us." Well, you're right about that. You got more money, better branding, and much larger membership. We give them an enemy, a symbol. We give them something to believe in and something to die for. What do you give them? Here's one of our true believers now. His name is John Walker. John's been a devoted follower of our content for years, ever since he was a baby. 16 months ago, he came to me with a metal box, a message from Tony Stark, and a vial of super soldier serum asking me what to do. You know what I said? The Grand Skull continued. I said, "Kick their freaking heads in, John." As John Walker, now enhanced by super soldier serum, charges toward Captain America, his body is suddenly engulfed in flames by the Human Torch. Walker is quickly subdued as Hammond sets his head ablaze. The Ultimates are ruthless in their assault, but even for Captain America, this was going a little too far. Roger subdues the Grand Skull by reflecting his energy weapon fire back to his helmet, damaging his right eye. Tony radios the Grand Skull that he had scrubbed all known Red Skull content from the internet, crashed all related platforms, and drained all his secret bank accounts. Defeated, the Grand Skull presses the button, teleports him away. Before he escaped with his voice modulated damage, the Grand Skull says to Captain America that he is more like Rogers, as he is a symbol that does not die, but come back different, and that it was good to see you, Steve. The Ultimates recovered Namor's body and gave him a burial site at sea, hoping that he would return to his people and inspire a revolution against the tyrannical king. Hammond reflects on the aftermath of the mission and on himself. He recalls his last memory from 1948, walking down Avenue A before waking up in a damage control warehouse in 2024. He is deeply unsettled by the realization that the details of his death have been manually deleted, leaving him and his teammates with more questions than answers. But what disturbs him and Rogers the most are the Grand Skull's voice and his final words to Rogers. The Red Skull's last words were, "It was good to see you, Steve." The Human Torch runs a voice analysis. 90% match found. Both Captain America and the Human Torch realize the Grand Skull is none other than James Buchanan Barnes, aka Bucky. 8 months remain until the Maker return. Next, Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 11. The war for Asgard, a new hero approaches. Time to topple another of the Maker's dominoes, removing Loki from his seat of power in Asgard. Thor, Sif, and She-Hulk journey into mystery for blood, for glory, and for rebellion, and discover a surprising new ally. Ultimate, Volume 4, Issue 11. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero, and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Council, that rules the world from the shadows. But now the Maker is gone, locked away for the next 8 months by inventor Howard Stark. Howard's teenage son Tony took on the codename Iron Lad and began recruiting a network of heroes to fight back against the Maker's Council and prepare for the Maker's return. The first of these heroes was the god of thunder, Thor, who had been imprisoned while his
brother Loki, god of mischief, ruled over the 9 realms. But when Thor and Sif, Thor's former jailer turned comrade, learned how the Maker placed the villainous usurper on the throne, they returned to Asgard to foment rebellion. Sif and Thor traveled to Nidavellir, the realm of the dwarves, and their divine industry, where its carefree craftsmen have been reduced to overworked factory workers under the reign of King Loki. The Asgardian duo find the bickering brothers Brock and Eitri and convince them to join their uprising against Loki. The brothers provide them with cloaks that grant them invisibility to avoid Loki's spies and to infiltrate Asgard. Upon their arrival in Asgard, they find King Loki sitting on his throne, having grown fat, drunk, and dim-witted ever since he came into power. Nowadays, the former trickster god makes self-absorbed epic poems from drinking dwarf-made poet mead in front of his cowed and terrified court, while his aforementioned audience, both allies and enemies, are forever elderly and begging for Idun's golden apples to temporarily restore their youth. Loki also has Odin's decapitated head displayed next to his throne. Frost giants occupy Asgard, while Loki's daughter, Queen Hela, provides him with her undead army to police the realm in exchange for her place in Valhalla. Thor and Sif continue their travels through the 9 realms. In Alfheim, they find light elves being forced by the hand to make censored and uninspired stories. In Vanaheim, they try to convince the Vanir to join their uprising, but the Vanir decline as Loki had left them and their realm alone. Frustrated by Vanir's unwillingness to fight Loki, Thor and Sif spend time alone together. Due to time moving very fast, Sif wakes up to find Thor missing. Thor eventually returns, his body covered in burns and reeking of sulfur. Sif asks where he had gone and what he had done. After Thor explains to Sif, the duo began the war on Loki. Thor launches a surprise attack on Jotunheim, where he single-handedly slay millions of frost giants in order to gain Loki's attention. Distracted by Thor's attack, Loki leaves Asgard for his fatherland, allowing Sif to attack Valhalla and free Idun with her golden apples. With Idun, Thor and Sif hide in Niflheim, where they start gathering Asgardians and descendants who given golden apples to restore their youth. Meanwhile, Loki is left furious by attack before he gathers his forces to reinforce his oppression across the 9 realms and revoke the freedoms once granted to the Vanir. However, his actions have turned many to join the swelling ranks of Thor and Sif's resistance. After his post-embrace with Sif, Thor travels to Muspelheim, where he makes a deal with the fire giant Surtur, who approves Thor's offer to burn it all down. In the realm of Midgard, Earth, Tony Stark installs the Immortus Engine into his chest. He then notices something on the screen and demands Doom to explain, as they see the Ultimates lying dead at the hands of the Hulk. 7 months remaining. Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 12. My name is Nick Fury, director of Han, and this is my last confession. Quote, Nick Fury, the clock is ticking down to the Maker's arrival. Marvel flips the narrative on Ultimates and takes us inside the Maker's Council. The heroes of the Ultimate Universe aren't the only ones who have been preparing for the return of the Maker, and the clock is ticking down. The unique one-shot sets the stage for the 2nd year of the Ultimate line and includes the debut of the Ultimate version of 2 major Marvel characters in Ultimate Universe. 1 year in, Issue 1, a diabolical genius known as the Maker uses time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Council, that rules the world from the shadows. 1 year ago, the inventor Howard Stark sealed himself and the Maker inside the city, an advanced dome of the Maker's own design, after he learned the truth about the council. His teenage son Tony took on the codename Iron Lad and began trying to recreate a world of superheroes to fight against the council and to prepare for the dome's opening in 2 years' time. But the council members have moved on to plots of their own, expanding their influence in the Maker's absence. Nick Fury, director of Han, Heroic Anomaly Neutralization Directorate, oversees the assassination assassination of Keith Kincaid, a family man from Tallahassee with no criminal record for being a suspected terrorist. His only offense being the statement, "Do you ever wonder if these ultimates people might have a point?" Dr. Keith Kincaid in Earth 616 was an American doctor, formerly the employer of Jane Foster, who later became his wife and the mother of their son, Jimmy. Kincaid is fatally struck down by a lightning bolt sent by the Beast, the flagship, Pomelo carrier of the Hand, Heliflight. The Hand had been eliminating individuals like Kincaid for expressing pro-ultimate sentiments and searching their homes for terrorist links, such as a Stark Tech catalyst container box. Nick Fury says, "We are Hand, heroic, anomaly, neutralization, directorate. This is the Beast, the flagship, Pomelo carrier of the Hand, Hella Fleet. From here, Hand predicts and preemptively eliminates threats to global order. The Beast is powered by a thermomononuclear core and equipped with some of the most sophisticated surveillance technology on the planet. Disguised as a permanent, mild-wide thunderstorm, we can micro-target budding terrorists like Keith in Tallahassee while listening to high schoolers accidentally implicate their parents in Pittsburgh. In other words, we can do pretty much whatever we want." Nick Fury continues. Hand agents are now crawling like shadows across every inch of Keith Kincaid's home and office, looking for terrorist links, a super suit, a holographic message, a Star Tech catalyst container box. When Fury asks about the inspection, an agent responds, "Nothing so far, but the evidence factory is already on it." Fury thinks to himself, they won't find anything. There's nothing to find. But he tells the agent, "Excellent. Make sure the boys in narrative come up with something too." Another interesting point, the faces of all the Hand agents are distorted, indicating they are under mind control and not acting off their own free will. After Kincaid's death and his family is taken into custody, Fury says, "But today we have an audience, so we've got to make it look good. My name is Nick Fury, director of Hand, and this is my last confession. Another day making the world safe. The Hand is responsible for intercepting some of the catalysts mentioned during Tony Stark and Doom's botched attempt to create a world of heroes in Ultimate Volume 4, Issue 1. Fury's last confession is a reference to Fury Max Issue 1. Nick Fury continues, "Of course, with the kind of people I work with, I can't actually write it down. Can't take the chance if someone might find it early. Even that's no guarantee. Hell, psychic interrogation is on page 43 of Hand Training Manual. But I wrote the manual. If I fail, I imagine it will be easy to pluck it out of whatever's left of my head. And if I succeed, well, if you're reading this, whoever you are, you've got me at a rare disadvantage. You know how it all turns out." What Fury is referring to is his plan to betray the Maker and the Council. Fury is surrounded by Hand agents, and many prisoners are held within the base, one of them being Howard the Duck. The base is also filled with images of the Maker, one of which reads, "Make the Maker proud." As Fury walks through, he passes a prison cell containing Omega the Unknown. Fury walks in to debrief the Ultimates situation to the Maker's Council. Nick Fury says, "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. The Maker has divided the world into 7 geopolitical territories whose combined power govern the entire world. In this room, we have the leaders of the Upper and Lower Kingdoms, Lord Ra and Lord Khonshu. Then we have the Children of the Eternal Light, led by the Hulk, Hai no Kune, the Land of the Sun, where Sunfire holds control, assisted by Viper and the Silver Samurai. In the Eurasian Republic, Magic, Colossus, and Omega Red serve as leaders. The European coalition is led by Captain Britain. The Society of South America is overseen by the Black Knight Emmanuel da Costa and the Hellfire Club. Meanwhile, the former North American Union has been redistributed between the European coalition, the Society of America, and the Children of Eternal Light. And of course, the city is under the Maker's control." Nick Fury continues to write his thoughts. "I bet you have questions. I bet number one with a bullet is, why did he do it? Lately, I've been asking myself the same thing. I've had a bullet in my brain since 1944. Used to say I survived, but my conscience didn't make it. Up until a year ago, I answered directly to the Maker. In his absence, I answered to the Council. For those of you reading, you might not know." Nick Fury continues, "The one with the thick French accent is Captain Britain, Henry Dugarry, ruler of Europe and the east coast of North America, king of Avalon, and an all-around douchebag, born aristocrat, obsessed with blood. He has the most punchable face I've ever seen, but you only break your hand. Henry Dugarry is a French nobleman descending from Louis Next, the 14th and wielder of both the sword of might and the amulet of right, in addition to granting him the mantle of this reality's Captain Britain, these artifacts gave him dominion over the entirety of the European coalition, one of the 7 sovereign bodies whose combined power governed the entire world. Next, speaking of blood, there's Emmanuel da Costa, leader of the Society of South America and the Black King of the Hellfire Club. Little known fact, da Costa receives a regular transfusion to keep him feeling young and vital. The sickly looking kid attached to him via IV is his own son, Roberto. The boy has a genetic mutation that grants him power over fire and light, a dying son. The transfusions give da Costa temporary super attributes. His son is just one of many blood boys. Though constant blood transfusion from his son Roberto, a mutant with powers over fire and light, Emmanuel gains temporary super attributes denoted by glowing aura around his head. Next, we go to the Eurasian Republic. The Rasputins are infamous, of course, the new czars of Eurasia and Limbo, and the direct descendants of the actual Rasputin. They inherited his famous sense of humor. They rule with an iron fist, literally. The Rasputins never smile and speak only when necessary. They consist of Magic, Colossus, and Omega Red. Then we go to Emperor Sunfire, who does not speak at all. Viper, the voice of the rising sun, speaks for him. Sunfire is the emperor of Haino Kuni, who sits on the chrysanthemum throne. Viper says his heavenly saber has urgent matters at home. Our efforts with the children of the atom are at a crucial juncture. It is his wish that the meeting be completed with all possible haste. This connects to Ultimate X-Men Volume 2. Sunfire is the head of one of the 3 Pacific clans that consolidated into the Harada Yoshida Alliance, the other 2 being the Silver Samurai and Viper. In the pages of Ultimate Black Panther Volume 1, we have Lord Ra and Lord Khonshu, the lords of the upper and lower kingdoms, the chosen representatives of the Egyptian gods on earth. They rule all of Africa. Well, almost. Of course, they are at war with the Black Panther and Wakanda. Ra and Khonshu follow a different order of logic and are mysterious even to Nick Fury. Finally, the gray monster with the serene face is Bruce Banner, the incredible enlightened Hulk. Him, I bet you've heard of. He rules most of Asia and the west coast of North America, the absolute monarch of the 7 celestial cities of heaven, and the spiritual leader to billions. The Hulk is the strongest being on Earth and the most dangerous. He is currently battling the Ultimates in their series. Nick Fury continues. They are the Council. They rule the world, at least for now. Fury is planning to take out the Maker's Council with a picture of the Maker smiling right behind him. Nick Fury says, "Gentlemen, glad you could all make it. I've been meaning to get you all together for a while." Nick Fury writes in his notes, "They're monsters, but my hands have as much blood on them as theirs. These are my kind of people now. This is my kind of party. It wasn't always this way, kicking in their teeth, vampires, sabotaging super weapons with Dum-Dum, and the Howlers. Good and evil, black and white, things seem much clearer than cleaner." Nick Fury continues, "Things get blurrier and blurrier as we see the deal made between the Maker and Fury, what he has done for the Maker to end the lives of heroes and elevate Han into a powerful force. Suddenly, Great Britain screams out, 'Fury!' Great Britain says, 'Enough tiresome backstory. We already know all of this. Give us something new.' Nick Fury responds, following Dr. Banner's failure in Kunlun, referencing the events of Ultimates Volume 4, Issue 6. The Hulk smashes the table and roars, 'I killed a Stark boy. I'm certain of it. I felt him die in my hand.' Since the Hulk's failure to eliminate the Ultimates, the heroes had become more cautious in their war against the Council. Nick Fury continues, 'Maybe the Hulk has, and maybe he hasn't. He hasn't been seen since, but the others are still operating. 3 weeks ago, the one from the White House calling herself Miss America Chavez intervened to protect a group of pro-democracy protesters in Guatemala City. Fury recalls America Chavez's defense of the protesters and Hawkeye's attack on a weapons shipment for the war in Wakanda, events previously depicted in Ultimates Volume 4, Issue 7. Sergeant Fury addresses the Council saying, 1 week ago, another damage control facility was raided and burned to the ground by a flying man on fire. What was lost is still unclear. Of course, that was the Human Torch." Nick Fury continues, "And just yesterday, a shipment of weapons meant for the war in Wakanda was destroyed by exploding arrows. That was Hawkeye." Fury adds, "The Ultimate Terrorist Network is still active. They are now less high profile, less ambitious, and more careful." Incredible work, Banner. Sergeant Fury turns to the Hulk. The Hulk warns, "Careful, Fury. I've recently redesigned discovered an appreciation for mindless violence. Nick Fury journals. I'm not afraid of death anymore. What scares me now is dying without some kind of redemption. So I'm playing along. His watch ticks away. Sergeant Fury says to the council, there is good news. The Hand launched a public misinformation campaign to demonize the Ultimates, creating a zone of strategic uncertainty. Sergeant Fury says we are handily winning the information war. The terrorist framing has almost totally penetration. It's a classic for a reason. Violent nationalists, pagan false gods, radicals from the future, spoiled Nepal baby billionaires. The narratives write themselves. Well, actually, narratives write the narratives, but you know what I mean. We have a decades-long head start in indoctrination, and our free school milk program has left the population highly susceptible to suggestion. Culture has ramped up its effort and flooded all media channels with pro-status quo messaging. Film, TV, music, podcasts, video games, and comic books. News reports flash across screens. A TV headline reads, Ultimates put their foot down with a giant image of Giant Man's footprint referencing the Ultimates debut in Ultimates Volume 4, Issue 1. Another reads, thousands still without power following Ultimates attack. A likely reference to Ultimates Volume 4, Issue 2, when the Ultimates freed America Chavez from a machine draining her powers to fuel parts of the American electrical grid. Meanwhile, pharmaceutical indoctrination is being pumped into children's milk, and the message remains constant. The Ultimates hate you. Inside his journal, Sergeant Fury writes, it can be hard to tell the difference between following orders and playing along. Sometimes I can't stand myself. He then turns to the council and says, the point is, it's working. Even among those prone to support the Ultimates agenda, we've created a zone of strategic uncertainty. Sure, we massage the numbers, inflate casualty and cost, but we couldn't have done it without them. The public hates a death toll. That's why ours is strictly classified. Sergeant Fury looks down at his clock. It reads 12 minutes and 41 seconds. In his journal, he writes, but the bright side, soon I won't have to. There's a countdown, and Nick Fury has a plan. Omega Red scoffs, information war, and what of war? Our way, when we had such a promise to come to them in their home. When they sit on their toilet or sleep with their wife, we kill family, children, grandmother. Doesn't matter, so that they can see, and drag them through the streets in dripping chains so that everyone can see, and then no more problems. So where is home? Omega Red demands. Sergeant Fury responds, we're working on it. Their technology is decades ahead of anything found outside of the city. We've recovered one of their stealth suits with only minor damage, but the boys in the actual chop says it could take years to fully crack. Beyond Tony Stark, the identities of the Ultimates remain closely guarded secrets. They could be anyone. As they analyze the recovered Falcon wings, Fury admits that despite all their efforts, he and his organization has been unable to track down the Ultimates' true identities. Tony Stark ensured their secrets remain highly protective. The Council are left very unsatisfied with Fury's handling and deem the meeting as a waste of time. Before they could leave, Fury stops them by informing them of another interesting development. He reveals that he has hand spies embedded in Wakanda, Haino Kuni, and New York to more easily identify future recruits for the Ultimates, and has made progress in turning someone already inside their organization. However, the Council is left upset upon learning that these agents are operating in the territories without their knowledge and demands to know the identity of the traitor. Fury refuses to reveal the traitor for security reasons, stating that anyone, including those within the Council, could be compromised by spies and double agents. Nick Fury says they can be anyone. Well, so can we. We all work with the same person, don't we? The Maker. Nick Fury says, in addition to our deep covered network, we've made serious progress in turning someone already inside their organization. The Hulk growls, a traitor in the Ultimates? Who? Nick Fury replies, the fewer people know, the better for security reasons. The Hulk grows visibly angry and says, are you implying that we are security risks, that the Ultimates have spies in our organization? Nick Fury calmly responds, like I said, they could be anyone. This sparks a heated argument among the Council members as they berate one another for their alleged incompetence and failure to capture or eliminate the Ultimates. Nick Fury journals, if you've ever wondered how a group of power-hungry assholes like this could work together, the answer is they don't. Not really. But the Maker kept them in line, and the Maker design kept them in balance. With Stark and Stain gone, North America carved up, and the Maker locked in the city for another year, which for him is more like 10,000. The entire system is beginning to break down, and I'm just going to hurry things up a little bit. On his watch, the countdown reads 5 minutes and 3 seconds. While the Council bickers, Fury is secretly plotting to eliminate them. Ever since he began working for the maker of Fury, had committed countless heinous acts. Nick Fury continues writing, but we're getting to the end here, and I still haven't answered your question. Whoever you are, why did I do it? Serve the maker, then betray him. Maybe a bullet killed my conscience in 1944. Maybe it grew back. Whatever I did, I believe I was doing it for the greater good. For the greater good, I enabled the inhuman genocide and the subsequent dysphoria. For the greater good, I killed a family of starved children meant to usher in a bright new human age. For the greater good, I permanently crippled promising young scientists with destabilizing ideas. I gave my life to the greater good, which would make me a dead man. Huh? The way the maker forced Sergeant Fury to work for him began with a bullet to the head. Somehow the maker used this to control him, leading Fury to commit atrocities, including the genocide of the humans, the murder of the power pack, crippling the minds of brilliant scientists, and ensuring the death of other potential heroes, all in the name of the greater good. But all of it left Fury deeply guilt-ridden, ultimately driving him to betray the council. With the maker gone and the council growing more divided, Fury seized the opportunity to kill them all. Fury writes in his journal, "One thing I've learned after 60 years of killing so-called superheroes is they don't stay down. You can put bullets in their 10-lob brains and bury their indestructible bodies under parking lots. You can suffocate the super women in poison gas and run the semi-divine boys through with 100,000 volts until their perfect hearts finally give up. You can make them do things they never thought they could, horrible things. But no matter how many you co-opt or put down, more will rise." Fury initiates the helicarrier self-destruct sequence and tells the council that everyone inside will be consumed by the impending nuclear detonation in a matter of seconds. He had deliberately delayed the council to ensure the vessel was far enough from any inhabited area. The council demands answers, but Fury smirks. "Come on, don't tell me you weren't half expecting it." They turn to the agents for help, but the officers remain motionless. "Poor bastards, soul-bound loyal to death," Fury continues. In a few seconds, this entire helicarrier goes up like a Roman candle, big as 10,000 Hiroshimas. It might even kill you, Banner. We'll find out. I just had to make sure we were far enough away from anywhere inhabited. I've got enough blood on my hands without adding half of Florida. The helicarrier's system announces 15 seconds to self-destruct. Nick Fury writes in his journal, "They're out there more every day. They can be anyone. If I succeeded and you're reading this, decanted, I guess, from the astral plane or wherever the mind goes when the brain becomes vapor, then know this. I'm sorry." The countdown continues. 5 seconds to self-destruct. Fury glares at the council. "Shut your mouths, all of you. I figure they've got a chance now. With you out of the way, with us out of the way. They got a chance. That's got to count for something, right? I want you to know I always hated all of you. See you in hell." But the council does not look worried at all. Suddenly, a look of surprise crosses Sergeant Nick Fury's face. Just as the timer reaches 1, there is no explosion. The council bursts into laughter, amused. They had already anticipated Fury's betrayal, as he had attempted this many times before. The council mocks him. Captain Britain smirks. "I suppose it's that time again. They barely last a year now. What was it last time? An exploding island?" The Hulk chuckles. His face, the look on his face. "It gets me every time." Magic corrects him. "No, last time was the hyper plague infected handshake. The exploding island was 2 temps ago." DaCosta grins. "Do you compose a confession this time, Nicholas? I particularly enjoyed those." "My name is Nick Fury, and this is my last confession." Captain Britain nods. "I like the bit about the bullet in his brain, the conscious growing back. Very poetic." Fury, stunned, doesn't understand how this keeps happening, how they always know. He takes out his gun and starts shooting. DaCosta smirks. "You know, Nicholas, I'm not really one for reality TV, but I could watch your struggle all day. In fact, I sometimes do. I hold viewing parties. Your pain is a big hit with the billionaire demographic." DaCosta maliciously tells a deeply confused Fury that he will die, never fully understanding what is happening. DaCosta smirks. "It would be my pleasure to do the honors." Sergeant Fury, bewildered, asks, "What? I don't understand." DaCosta replies, "Oh, that's part of it. That you die never fully understanding, that's part of it. Man like you don't get redemption, Fury. Men like you get replaced. With the press of a button, Fury is burned alive. Fury, consumed by burning agony, is flooded with memories of all the people he has killed revealed as he collapses to the floor in pain. It is revealed that Fury was responsible for the deaths of Devil Dinosaur, Vision, Arcus, 3D Man, and Black Bolt. Their remains were stored in a damage control facility previously depicted in Free Comic Book Day 2024. Ultimate Universe Spider-Man Issue 1. The Hulk says, "One of you, clean this up and download the new memories into the databank." The hand officer, who is supposed to be controlled by Surgeon Fury, responds, "Yes, sir." Robert DeCorsa, in disbelief, does not understand what just happened after witnessing a man burned alive. The Hulk continues, "Very good. Here's the next director of hand, having a better luck with the Ultimates." Viper says, "It will be good to have a fresh perspective on the problem." Captain Britain replies, "Well, you can hardly call it fresh." Captain Britain says, "I'll never understand why the Maker continues to allow this. We demand absolute obedience from all members." DeCorsa responds, "For one, a spy isn't a soldier or a citizen. A spy who won't betray you isn't much of a spy. Additionally, these expected betrayals have the potential to flush out unexpected ones. Traitors tend to find one another. But to tell you the truth, most of all, I think the whole thing just makes the Maker smile." In the last notes of Sergeant Nick Fury, he writes, "If I died for nothing and the Council lives, if you are part of the vast and dehumanizing machine we call the greater good, then I am sorry, because your life is pointless and pathetic as mine was. But you are still here. I may be dead, but at least I'm free." It is revealed that Fury is one of many life model decoys, LMDs, created to serve the Maker and his Council. The Maker had intentionally designed the Fury LMDs to inadvertently betray him and the Council. As DeCorsa remarks, "A spy isn't a soldier or a citizen. A spy who won't betray you isn't much of a spy. Furthermore, these expected betrayals have the potential to uncover unexpected ones." For DaCosta, however, he simply enjoys watching Fury's failed attempts to destroy the Council. With an eerie image of the Maker's smile, it's made clear that both the Council members and the Maker know Fury will betray them every time. This story will continue across the Ultimate Universe. Ultimate Wolverine Prologue. Many years ago, the Maker turned the Eurasian Republic into a centralized home for mutant kind, though its primary motive was control. From the private dictation logs of Dr. Alona Prostofevich, Director of Science and Technology for Eurasian Republic, the task was handed down to us by the Maker himself. The Eurasian Republic was to be centralized for mutant kind, though its primary motive was control. And who better to manage mutant problems than mutants themselves? Was the Maker did not know, however, was what the Eurasian Republic chose to do with those mutants. It was not to provide them with sanctuary, nor was it to imprison them. Despite their genetic similarities, they were not viewed as brothers and sisters, but as tools. Their unique abilities made them, shall we say, useful. Although peace existed between territories as established under the Maker's watchful eye, our leaders grew fearful of incursions, insurrections, and the reactionary reprisals. Thus, Directorate X was created. We worked in secret, a ghost operation with no paper trail and known to fewer than a dozen individuals. We were bureaucratic phantoms to the world at large. I was the Director of Science and Technology under the Eurasian Republic. To my superiors, I was an asset. To my subjects, I was God. Strength inevitable breeds resistance. Led by a coalition of humans and mutants, the opposition rose. They fought Eurasian forces time and again, only to deliver us to an unexpected variable, B1, that had invaded both us and the Maker alike. We called it, as we did others, simply Specimen. When the specimen arrived at our compound, it was already regenerating from its grievous wounds in battle. We went to work immediately. 4 surgeons died trying to administer sedative. It took an Omega-level telepath to control it, and even then barely. We had encountered mutant kin specimens before. Attempts were made for similar enhancements, but they did not take. I was convinced this time it would work. This wasn't a question of whether we could turn an average citizen into a warrior. No, this was whether we could make a good soldier into the perfect one. And we did. We turned a man into a weapon, born and died, then born again. They called him Logan once, then the specimen no more. Now he is our Winter Soldier, to be continued in Ultimate Wolverine Volume 1, Issue 1. The ultimate fracture. Dissent destroys the Ultimates as a disagreement long developing between two members of the team leads to a devastating departure. In Ultimates Volume 4, Issue 12, a diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Council, that rules the worlds from the shadows. But now the Maker is gone, locked away for the next 7 months by inventor Howard Stark. Howard's teenage son Tony took on the codename Iron Lad and began recruiting a network of heroes to fight back against the Maker's Council and prepare for the Maker's return. Recently, Maker's Council member Hulk brutally defeated this network of Ultimates. Doom barely managed to rescue them, except She-Hulk cried out that he'd arrived too late. Iron Lad was dead. Miraculously, though, Tony survived, and after months of grueling recovery, he is ready to return. Nick Fury talks with an unseen traitor of the Ultimate Network who informs him about a meeting held by Tony Stark at the Triskelion concerning Doom. Only half of the network is contacted remotely as they have learned from their previous and disastrous attacks on the Hulk. Nick Fury is basically an LMD, life model decoy robot who believes he's real, but he's actually a tool of the Illuminati. Of course, the Illuminati being the group brought together by the Maker to effectively rule in his absence. This is even more important now because the Maker is locked away. In the Ultimate Universe, 1 year, issue 1, we learned that Nick Fury has a traitor inside the Ultimates. At this meeting, the traitor explains what happened. Tony and Doom show everyone footage of the Hulk and his immortal weapons slaughtering the Ultimates. The Ultimates had tried to make their move on the Ultimate Hulk, who is leading member of the Illuminati. In the Ultimate Universe, Hulk has conquered the 7 capital cities of heaven, mystical cities that unite in the tournament of the Iron Fist. Hulk has become the Iron Fist himself, possessing its power along with command over the immortal weapons, each with unique and formidable abilities. It appears they killed the Ultimates. Those who participated in the attack on the Hulk are left shocked as they all had nightmares that mirrored the footage. The Ultimates are never all in one place at the same time. Iron Lad says, "This is just a nightmare. Tell them, Doom. Tell them or I will." With Doom initially unwilling to explain, Tony reveals what Doom told him. After fusing the Immortus Engine with his nervous system, Tony used it to catch up on the events he had missed, as the engine allows him to see through time. When he looked back at the day of their defeat at the Hulk's hand, Tony saw 2 versions of events, one where Doom teleported the Ultimates to safety and the other where he didn't, leading their horrific deaths. The deaths were horrific, and this is a huge revelation because one thing to remember is that the Immortus Engine was essentially built by the Maker and Doctor Doom. In this universe, there's an entire origin story where the Maker sabotaged the original trip of the Fantastic Four, then trapped Reed in a room where time passed slowly, torturing and tormenting him until he was transformed into Doom by convincing him that everything he touches dies. Doom follows him wherever he goes. It's a truly tragic story. The Immortus Engine is essentially what enables time travel. It is then revealed by Doom that he was too late to save his comrades, which forced him to use the Immortus Engine to intervene earlier. However, his action caused a branch in their timeline, and some of the Ultimates remember what happened in the alternate version when they confronted the Hulk. This led Tony to accuse Doom of breaking their agreement regarding the use of the Immortus Engine and to question whether Doom's delayed attempt to save the Ultimates was driven by his plan to bring back the Fantastic Four, even if it meant rewriting reality at the cost of Tony's near death. Tony Stark says all that time supposedly spent working out the correct dose of cosmic energy, a lie. Those poor dead mice. You've been trying to break through the Maker's barrier to radically change the past, all behind our backs. Doom replies, "If you want an explanation, I will give it happily. But if you seek contrition, I'm afraid that capacity was cut out of me a long time ago. I am Doom. You must accept this and all it means as I have." America, Chavez responds, "You're irresponsible. You could have destroyed everything. You know what happened to the Guardians. You could erase this world." Doom says, "And what in this world is so worth saving? Tell me." When the Maker showed up in this universe, universe, he began using time travel to disrupt everyone's history, preventing Peter Parker from being bitten by a radioactive spider, stopping the formation of the Avengers, and ensuring Captain America was never discovered. The truth is, even now, we don't fully understand the extent of the changes the Maker made. There's no guarantee to know if you go back in time and start altering events, you're actually fixing things. You could be making a bad situation worse. Tampering with time is incredibly dangerous because who knows what kind of consequences could unfold. And while Doom did save lives, the risk he took by interfering was massive. In doing so, he may have set Earth or even the entire universe on a path to destruction. Ironically, the death of the Ultimates might have been the fixed point in time that needed to happen. Now that it didn't, everything could be far worse. Doom defends his actions by reminding them their mission is to fix the world, and he did that to save his team. He elaborates that it was not easy to travel back in time, as he had carefully avoided to uncreate himself from time in order to precisely save everyone. He was only able to arrive at the time where Tony was badly brutalized by the Hulk. Iron Lad says, "Just tell me, Doom, is that why you pulled us out after I was crushed, after the Hulk almost killed me? Were you trying to cover your tracks?" Doom replies, "Is that really what you think of me?" Tony Stark adds, "I don't know what to think. It just seems a bit convenient, doesn't it? I'm the only other one who could have understood what you've been doing. Why else would you let that happen to me?" Doom responds, "I tried, Tony. It wasn't just separate space times. I had to save you without uncreating myself or the version of myself. The further away your deaths were from me, the harder it became. The more entangled your deaths were with the existence, the more impossible the math got. With every passing second, the calculation became 10 times more complex. I tried to get you out from the beginning. I tried to save you." Doom continues, "But even with a time machine, I ran out of time. Everything I touch, all Doom. I miscalculated again. It won't work without you. None of it works without all of us. I had to save you, even if it meant risking." Tony Stark steps forward to confront him, saying, "It's okay." Doom shakes his head. "It's not okay. Anthony, nothing is okay. Don't you see it's not working? We haven't made enough progress. Not even close. We're running out of time." Doom emotionally breaks down, finally revealing the weight of his burdens, the realization that everything he tries to fix only ends up worse. Tony, now understanding Doom's true intentions, places a hand on his shoulder and quietly tries to reassure him. Thanks to the information provided by the Guardians of the Galaxy from the far further, the Ultimates will lose against their enemy. Tony further confirms this by using the engine to see into the future after the city opens and the screen shows only a completely white backdrop. Doom says, "You're right. If I can break the Maker's barrier, I will save my family, fix at least one piece of the world. Isn't that what we all came here to do? I will make a better world in this one's place, even if there's no place for me in it. A world without Doom." Iron Lad responds, "You haven't thought this through. God, this is basic complexity science. Your actions will have unpredictable, unintended consequences. They could lead to something worse." Doom continues, "That is true of any action we might take, and yet still we must act, even with incomplete knowledge and knowing the limits of the knowledge. You all speak of revolution, but when the decisive moment comes, even knowing we may fail, even knowing with absolute certainty we hesitate, you refuse to take the necessary step. What are you waiting for? This world is a prison. What do you have to lose but your chains? That is why I lied, why I operated in secret. I knew you would not approve, but I knew I was right. Radical actions and imagination are what's needed now. I assure you, I have thought this through." This powerful declaration reveals Doom's conviction that rewriting reality, even at the cost of his own existence, is the only way to build a better world. A world free from the Maker's corruption, even if it means sacrificing everything to get there. And then, to everyone's surprise, Tony Stark says, "Okay." Even Doom is taken aback. "Okay?" he asks, visibly shocked. Tony replies, "Yes, okay. I believe you and I trust you." Doom stares at him. "You do?" Iron Lad interjects. "I didn't call everyone here to put you on trial. I just thought we needed to get everything out in the open so we could decide the future of this thing together." As the room sits in tense silence, Wasp turns to Captain America and asks, "Cap, what do you think about all this?" Another surprise comes when Captain America Steve Rogers says, Doom's right. No one can believe it. I agree with you, Cap continues. This isn't working. Doom, caught off guard, responds, I expected a pointless fight. Steve Rogers adds, but I don't think trying to break through the barrier is better option either. If you haven't cracked it by now, there's no guarantee you'll do it in the next 6 months, and 6 months is all we got. And that's before we even get into the ethics of killing trillions, Steve adds. And Tony, the origin boxes, they're a failed concept. I stand by that. But what we're doing isn't working either, he says grimly. We don't need omnivisions of the future or potential past to see what's right in front of us. We are no match for what's already here, much less for what's coming when the city opens. Steve Rogers continues, the Ultimates have been scattered, fractured, and disoriented, and I blame myself. I've been thinking small like a soldier instead of, he pauses, perhaps meaning an Avenger, but he doesn't say it. Instead of what we need, he looks at the team. The truth is, America Chavez and Mr. Cage have been far more effective than I have. We could all stand to learn something from them. We need more outreach. We need to expand the network rapidly. We need to give people something to fight for, something to die for, if need be, Doom adds. And we must use the Immortus Engine to its full potential. It's our greatest weapon, Iron Lad responds. Then we'll have to think in 4 dimensions if we want to save the world. Doom nods. 4 at least. Tony Stark jumps in. Well, truth is, I've already started thinking about possibilities. American Chavez interrupts. You've already making the same mistakes. It can't just be you or Doom or Steve. We can't afford another decision made behind closed doors. She looks at the room. This time, for this to work, we need everyone's ideas. We have to try everything to save everything. Doom pauses, then surprisingly agrees. America's right. We cannot trust ourselves, not fully. We cannot entrust the future to any 3 of us alone. Captain America says, yeah, so from here on out, we pool our perspectives and ideas. We find ways to combine our expertise and enhance our approaches. Doom adds, nothing is forbidden. Everything is possible. We're gonna fix the world. Tony Stark continues, top down doesn't work. Lash, try, prove that. Bottoms up this time, okay? Then I guess it's unanimous. The Ultimates 2.0 is hereby dissolved. Let's make sure the next one's better. Ultimates 3.0. So who wants to go first? Who is the spy in the Ultimates working for the Illuminati? How is the Illuminati always seems to be one step ahead? We return to the Triskelion, to Nick Fury, now director of hand. He remarks, all dead, huh? Shazam, it didn't stick. Present company excluded, of course. The traitor is revealed. Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp. She confronts Fury. Listen, Fury, you made insurances. Fury replies with cold confidence. Then rest assured, I'm a man of my word. When the time comes, and the time will come, you and your husband will be spared, Miss Van Dyne. So long as you tell us everything, you have my personal guarantee. Now you better get back before Hank misses you. He tosses in a casual cover story. We put groceries in your car for your alibi. Try the feta dip. I hear it's good. And yeah, thank you for participating in Hand's informant program. We'll be in touch. This confirms what was alluded to earlier in Ultimate Universe 1 year in issue 1. The Wasp has been the hidden traitor within the Ultimates, an inside source feeding the Illuminati their every move. 6 months remain until the Makers return. Next, Ultimates, Volume 4, Issue 13.